Islam Moors. Peace and love. How's everybody? So we're gonna start this thing tonight. We got the brother Kemitu Bey, but first I want to say is the Moors down here on this end down here in Capitol Heights or the DMV. What we're trying to do, we're trying to get like a community established, a nation. Been trying to do this for a long time now. And we had to go to court, or Brother Ryan had to go to court. What was that, Tuesday, man? Wednesday? And I'm saying every time, gotta cut that down a little bit. Every time we have to go to court with someone, nobody never shows. And I'm saying, can you imagine how that feels? It's horrible because them places, man, is evil as hell. True. That's an evil place, man, and it's all deception in there. And all it takes is one. I mean, if you got one brother, that's cool, man. But if you have 10 brothers going there, like the brother from Baltimore was saying, when they go up in there, they going up in there like 30. Dang. And they have to stand all along the sides of the courtroom, and they let stuff go because they don't want to deal with that stuff, man. Right. But when you having to go in there, man, all by yourself,
very intimidating.
It's intimidating, man, and there's no camaraderie.
True.
None at all, man. And we need to start sticking together. We have to, man. That's the only thing that's how it's going to grow. And it's important, man, when you did your nationality, man, that's deep for you to do that. But what are you doing? What you doing with it? So, man, we have to go ahead and stick together so we can make this thing work. So, let's bring this brother up, Brother Kemitu Bey, man. He's going to be talking on the bonds, the claims, and the liens against public officials, man. So give it up for him.
Yes. Peace. Islam. Abaragani. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Because we have to appeal to all our brothers and sisters because we are in various different faiths. We are under different political regimes, such as Democrats, Republicans, and the question is, how can we be up under these different entities and yet at the same time we suffer because of a lack of knowledge. Got it? We suffer because of a lack of knowledge, because in the faith that we are in, the different faiths, they don't teach this. They don't teach this, of course, in the school system, in the masjid, the temple, church, whatever, right? They don't teach this. Should they be teaching this? Yes, they should be teaching it because they're subjecting us to the mundane things of white supremacy. White supremacy is the one who's controlling the system today. We're still getting the feedback out there, right?
Just keep on going.
Yeah. So, because of white supremacy, what they're doing, or what they have done, I should say, they have codified their white supremacy within the system. All right? I was just showing people that, like, for instance, and you can Google this information, Title 42, USC, United States Code. You can go to section 1981. Somebody please pull that up, because I want everybody to participate. Go to Title 42, United States Code, section 1981. I want you to be able to read that. When you pull it, please read that out loud. Are we passing the mic out tonight, Ollie?
Yeah.
All right, so that way they can catch that. When you pull that up, just read that out. I don't know who's going to pull that, but you need to read it because I want to show you what's going on and why we have to learn about bonds, claims, liens on public officials. There's a proper way of putting it on public officials because you have folks out there like sovereign citizens, which have nothing to do with us, are putting liens on public officials, and these liens are like forced liens. So what I did I researched this information because we as a people have to be aware of what's going on. For some reason, we always seem to be the last to know what's going on. And by the time we move on, it is too late. Because we don't really know what's going on. We got Title 42, 1981. Somebody got it?
Oh, that's on, I know Derek. That's suing them for deprivation of rights.
All right, you have a mic? I want you to read that. I want everybody to hear this.
I don't have it read. I don't have it.
Yeah, the brother have it. Yes, let him read it.
Title 42, U.S. Code 1981, equal rights under the law.
Now listen to what they said. They said equal rights under who? Under the law. And we want to see whose law they're talking about, because it definitely had nothing to do with us. Read it, brother.
Statement of equal rights. All persons within the jurisdiction of the United States shall have the same right in every state and territory to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, give evidence, and to the full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of persons and property as is enjoyed by white citizens.
You can start right there, brother. Who they said? What kind of citizens?
White citizens.
You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to enjoy equal rights with who? White citizens.
Lowercase c.
All right? Don't make a difference if it's even a bigger case, brother. Wouldn't even make a difference. I'm just saying, I'm a Moor, and we got nothing to do with them Europeans. All right? They are on our land, and they're controlling us in our positions. They're operating almost like they're trustees on our land. But the point is, what I'm saying is that they have a law, Title 42, so you know what's going on. This is the codification for this. Because something that you read in the beginning. You need to write this down to be aware of what's going on. Title 42, it says United States Code. In 1910 they have an A here, which means annotated. The 14th Amendment is codified under Title 42. So now read the first part again of Title 42. I want you to read the first part.
Statement of equal rights. All persons within the jurisdiction of...
Now what they said, all who?
Persons.
Listen carefully. This is where they get you. They said all persons, right? Right? When you go to the 14th Amendment, you're going to see the same thing. All persons born or naturalized. So this is how you know that the 14th Amendment is codified under Title 42. All right? This is coming from a criminal. This is coming from what they call as the Ku Klux Act of 1871. I'm coming, brother. I'm coming. All right. What they did is they codified this act. All right, because these devils here were attacking our Moorish brothers and sisters and children, killing us, hanging us on trees and burning us at the stake. This is what they were doing. So they codified. All right. Well, technically, the 14th Amendment was codified up under this, and then they codified this under this. So they all related. So you know what's going on. All right? Because you're going to have to learn about bonds, claims, liens on public officials, because these people at the one time, they were the public officials. Stop and think about what I'm saying. At one time, these Klansmen was the public officials, because at that time, if you pay close attention to some of them slave damn movies, you would see like the mayor would be the Klansman, the sheriff would be the Klansman, the banker would be the Klansman. You follow me what I'm saying? You would have these various officials in a town or a city who's all a part of this Klans movement against us as a people. All right? So these were not the poor white trash as what you see today. See, the Klansmen that you see today, those are the poor white trash that you see. You see what I'm saying? They were not, because remember, who started the Klansmen? It was a senator, Albert Pike. Remember? Albert Pike?
Albert Pike?
Yes. He was a senator. You get what I'm saying? So these were high officials in these positions who were enacting terrorist acts against our people. Right? So, and this came after this. Because this came in 1868. This came in 1871. I forgot what year they started implicating the codes.
You said, I'm sorry, can you go back? You said Albert what?
Albert Pike was a senator. He was the one who started the Klans. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to show you that these were all public officials hiding. See, what they did is they took the robes off now. All right, so the ones who you see in robes, wearing robes, those are the poor white trash, is what you see. That's what I'm saying. The one who's wearing the robes now is the poor white trash.
Oh, wow.
All right, remember David Duke?
Yeah.
That cracker?
Yeah,
He had position?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But the poor white trash who was out there voting for David Duke to be in that position is to represent the poor white trash. The original Klansmen, those were not poor white trash, is what I'm trying to get you to see. These were people who were in political positions. You see what I'm saying? There was Republicans and there was Democrats. The Klansmen, the Ku Klux Klan, the original Klansmen was Republicans and Democrats. Why do you think the black Republicans of the South had to represent our people after the 13th, 14th Amendment? Because the question is, who was going to represent us in Congress? The Democrats were Klansmen, the Republicans were Klansmen. All right, so neither one of those sides was going to represent us because they both was Klansmen lynching us at that time. With hoods on their heads so they won't be recognized. All right, now what they did is they got sophisticated today, so they took their hoods off now, and now they are state troopers. All right, it's still the same people. They just took the hoods off, so they're hiding behind state. State law. This is what they're hiding behind. All right? Before they was hiding behind hoods. Now they've been hiding behind uniforms. They're hiding behind judicial clothing. They're hiding behind attorneys at law. You see the change? So you're wondering why we have a difficult time in court. You see what I'm saying? Because those are those same Klansmen that's there. There was a young lady, a young woman, she was taking a paralegal, and she was referred to me by a daughter of mine. And she had to put a term paper together. And of course, her instructor told her to pick up the case to do the term paper. It's very important that you know these things, because you're going to see the importance of it. And so when she was referred to me to help her do this term paper for school, I asked her a question. Did the instructor, did they give you a case to work on? She says, no, we have to go pick up our own case. This is excellent, that I'm going to tell you what you need to look at. Because this is something that I pay attention to. I had her to do her term paper on the Dred Scott case. Do you hear me when I'm telling you all? Because when you go to these law colleges and when you go to paralegal courses, these Europeans do not talk about anything in law when it comes to us. Their whole legal system is structured to serve them. So when I began to start sitting down with her, I pulled the Dred Scott case. I gave her the case. I said, listen, sister, what I want you to do is read over the case, all right? And then we'll meet again, and then we're going to go over the case, all right? And of course, she had a pad, and a pen, and we was going over the case, and I was asking her questions concerning Dred Scott, because Dred Scott was in New York, up under some slave devil, who took him out to the state of, anybody know about the Dred Scott case? Are they familiar with it? What state did he left? From New York to Missouri. All right, New York was a slave state, Missouri was a free state. Thank you, sis. You see what I'm saying? Very important to be aware of what's going on, all right? Because this stuff is still going on to this day. What happened is that the European has been so sophisticated with this that we don't even see it. So that's the reason why we got to go back in history to analyze what's going on back then and bring it up today's date and see if these things are still going on. All right? And it is, because if you have one of these, you are considered to be an indentured servant. If you have one of these, you were considered to be an indentured servant. But they used this to steal your property. Because 100 years ago, there was no such thing as titles on your property. So we have to be aware of what's going on today. And I think it's very important. Why? Because we got brothers and sisters. I'm sorry, brother, because you didn't raise your hand. Give me 1 second. Let me spit this one out. We have our brothers and sisters today who are lawyers, who are judges, who are congressmen, and they are under all of this crap that I'm putting on the board, and neither one of these congressmen, senators, representatives are helping any one of us. We're being hijacked based upon this information on the board, but you're going to see more of it tonight. Yes, my brother. Pardon me for that, because you did raise your hand earlier.
And so when you say codify, what do you mean when you say, use that term?
You heard of this term of code.
Code, yes.
Because I know you're familiar with code,
Yes.
which means you're speaking in secrecy, which means that if me and you was to speak in codes, nobody in this room would know what me and you talking about. Like a 5%er. 5%er, he be spitting what's today's mathematics.
Oh, okay.
All right, so the average person in the street ain't gonna know what a 5% is saying when he says what's today's mathematics. So he spit it back to the brother who's supposed to know his degrees. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, he get the beat down, as they say, back in the days. You see what I'm saying? So, but the European have his code. So this ain't just a 5%er thing. That's why they call it United States Code.
Okay.
You follow what I'm saying? And that's a good question, brother. I like that. And that's why I said, please, ask questions. I don't want you to just be hearing me because this is my thing, all right? I'm in my element right now, right? So please, if you want to get the best out of me, ask questions because you're going to hear things that you never heard before. So what they did, brother, is they took the 14th Amendment and they codified it. But prior to the 14th Amendment, after the 14th Amendment, they used the Ku Klux Klan Act. An act, so you know, brother, it's federal. When you hear the word act, right, in law, it's referring to federal, which means it's national law all over the country.
So they have a real Ku Klux?
Yeah, it's in the Black's Law Dictionary, brother. That's where I'm getting this from. And by the way, none of this stuff I'm dropping tonight, this doesn't come from me.
Yeah, we know.
That's their shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my French. All right, I'm just so advocate as far as astute, because you're only good as your research, right?
That's right.
I don't care what field you in. I don't care if you in boxing, art, culinary, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You only good as your research. So what you're hearing tonight, for me, is research. All right, that's all I do. All right, because they're using this as a weapon of warfare against us. All right, so we have to research what's going on. I'm going to show you some stuff you can use in court. Please, feel free to ask me some questions. All right? So again, as I was saying, beloved brother, is that they took the 14th Amendment. Remember, the year was 1868 when they used this. The purpose of the 14th Amendment was to create citizenship for the so-called Negro. All right? Because we didn't have citizenship with these crackers. You see what I'm saying? And I have to say crackers because there's two ways that the cracker could be the cracker. And that's something that we need to be aware of. There's two ways that could be the cracker. The conventional way of them being a cracker, and see, let me tell you something. Let me clear up something real carefully. When we say cracker, have nothing to do with racism. When they use the term nigger, that has something to do with your complexion is what they're trying to associate it with. Nigga have nothing to do with your complexion, but they're trying to say because you black, you's a nigga. That's what they're saying psychologically. When we say they crackers, we're not saying they crackers because they're so-called white. So-called white, because they're not white.
No, they pale.
All right? They're pale skinned. But the point is what I'm saying is that how the term cracker became synonymous with them is because when they was tying our women and our children and our men to the goddamn tree or to a post, and they would pick up that horse whip or that bull whip, and that's when you heard that cracking sound. Because remember, we didn't speak their language. We didn't know the English language like they do. So we only associate the sound to the punishment. That's how you got the word cracker. So when we call them cracker, we ain't calling them, because I let them know in a minute, I am not calling you cracker because you figure because you white. Because you figure, remember that, because you figure because you white. Because they're not white. They're 'Cause like I was telling my man Abdullah, right? I mean, Brother Ali earlier, Because we have to begin to start realizing what's going on. Because they call themselves like Rosenberg, Lynchburg, and why the word Berg? And they spell it various ways.
Yeah.
Berg is a Germanic word meaning mountain or hill.
Oh,
That's what it means. So what I'm saying is when they say, oh, these crackers come from out of the hills and mountains and caves of Europe, well, it's interesting, true, but they're not Caucasians now.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
they're not
that's
Caucasians?
cool.
They're not Caucasians?
No, they're not Caucasians.
They use that terminology.
They use that terminology because I'm gonna tell you why they use it. See, that's why I love I've been certain. No, bro, I love that. Because we have to have a clarity. These Europeans are not Caucasians. The word Caucasian comes from the word Caucasus mountain. Caucasus means high mountain. Like they call it the Black Caucasus. You see what I'm saying? So it's referring to a high place of rank. They call themselves that so they can belong somewhere. You follow what I'm saying? But all Europeans don't agree to that. Like for instance, I had a woman from Poland. She needed a trust done by me. Her name is Joanna, I'll never forget her. You know what she asked me? She says, "Kemitu, you." She said, "Why do they call me white when I'm Polish?" Because she came from Poland. So that white wash in the mind, they don't have that in Europe. They have national pride over there. It's only over here it becomes the melting pot to say white, black.
Status.
Exactly. Exactly. So she asked me, because I know some of our people, if they would have heard her say that, they'd have been like, "Bitch, you are white. What the hell are you talking about?" You get what I'm saying?
You white.
Yeah, but that's my point, because it's the mentality
Right.
of our people. You see,
Right.
see, that's the cracker.
Yeah.
They cracked that in our head with that whip, like they did Toby.
It's codified.
That's my point, exactly. So she didn't come from being cracked over her head with a whip to say that she's white. But you know how they do them? Like they do our people too? Is when they come over to here, they use the immigration. This is what I was saying earlier to you. You're gonna peep out what I'm talking about. But we ain't gonna move away from this, but I'm gonna touch on some things that you need to be aware of. And this is why the council is so important to me, is because what I see is the National Registry. Because the National Registry can change up this Negro, Black, and Colored crap
Yes.
that they're using,
Yes.
because that is a caste system.
Yes.
That's what that is. We recognize this from the Hindus. You see what I'm saying? Because the Hindus had a caste system out there in India. But when it came to here, the European used the caste system on our people. He called us Negro, Black, and Colored. That's why I always ask the question, between Negro, Black, and Colored, which is the highest caste? That's the question. Between Negro, Black, and Colored, what is the highest class? The highest class is colored. Because when the European was raping our sisters, and the baby was coming out red bone or high yellow, that was more closer to the slave master than to me and you. So colored was the highest class. To be a Negro was a crime, and to be black is a crime, because the word black refers to penalization. Because in 1865, King Louis of France implicated a decree against the Moors, because we were known as Moors. This is what we know. That's why we got to go back in history and analyze who we were. Because at that time, those Europeans never called us Negro, Black, and Colored. That came later. That came when they invaded us. So the word Negro comes from the Spaniards and the Portuguese. And the word Negro, when you do the etymology on the word Negro, you'll find out that the word Negro comes from the word necra, like in necromancy, which means dead. The word black comes from a Sanskrit word, means bleg. It means pale or bleach. That's what black means. Colored comes from a Latin word, means to conceal or to hide. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you need those etymology dictionaries to define what those words mean. So we couldn't. So when I hear they say, "Oh, our people of color," I said, you know what them Europeans are saying? They're codifying you again. They're hiding us. They don't want to acknowledge your national identity. There's no national identity as Negroes, Black, and Colored. But what they do, which is what I discovered, and I told Abdullah about this, when I did my research, the immigration put a proposal together to label us those things, and they're getting paid. They went to the Office of Management and Budget and issued a proposal. The proposal was passed, so when you get those applications, you will see that in there. So I don't care if you're coming from Africa, Jamaica, any of the Caribbean islands, you don't see nothing gonna say you're Jamaican or Trinidadian and Tobago, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see black, you know what I'm saying, Negro, African American. So they wanna put you in that category. Yes, my brother.
So a caste system is just a classification of...
That's right. It's the classification of white supremacy.
Oh, white supremacy.
Yes, because it's the white supremacists that put that together. All right, because we are one national people, but they decided to divide us up. So, and this is how the Boule did it. Because 1910, the Boule will be the colored, like NAACP. That's the Boule. All right, so if you ain't highly fair-skinned, right, and favored, you don't get in. See, they run a lot of that in the Caribbean islands. Because you don't see black and white over there, as they say, quote unquote. You just see all of us. But then they use skin complexion to determine where you're going to be in office. Yes, brother.
I got a question, a little small question. My
Yes.
birth certificate doesn't have black on it. It has my...
No, it's not your birth certificate, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry. The birth certificate that I
Was issued to you.
that I issued.
You got to be careful with that, brother.
Thank
What you're
you.
doing is claiming possession
Yes.
of
thank
being
you.
subject.
I should know better. Yeah. And it doesn't have black on
Hey,
it.
with a mic.
Has
Talk to Mike.
Say that again, brother, because they want to get them.
my birth certificate doesn't have black on it.
That's your birth certificate.
I'm sorry.
The birth
The
certificate
that's
is
issued to me.
Yes.
Does not have black. Does not have the.
And you know why I say that, brother? I'm gonna hit you with something right
We
now.
have to get our.
Yeah, look up the word certificate. Oh, excuse me. This is the dictionary of finance and investment terms. This is the stuff that blows people's minds. Everybody need to get this dictionary. I always try to bring this with me. All right, you know what I'm saying? So I want you to look up a word called certificate, because you use the term birth certificate, right? And this is what I brought to the babies when I went out to Louisville, Kentucky, and I wrote the word certificate on the board. And I went into that same book and looked up the word certificate, and I had one of the children to read the word certificate. And then when they read the word certificate, I said to them, do you know anything that relates to the word certificate in reference to you? I mean, the children were smart, they were sharp. They say, oh yes, birth certificate. Did you see how these are babies, and they automatically related the word certificate to birth certificate. So you can see already what's in the children's mind. So that's why we have to be the generation to teach them so they won't be subject to it. Yeah, look up the word certificate. Yes, I'm coming. You can give me the mic.
Hey, y'all got questions? Talk to Mike, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, clarify, they coming out.
You gotta talk in it, bro.
Yes.
Clarify, they also, if you don't mind, sir.
Yes.
Bay.
Bay. Sorry.
I'm sorry, brother.
It's a Bay, yeah. Sir is European. I'm Bay. I'm more.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
As you were.
I got you.
As you were.
Right. So they're even gonna issue what he just said, the so-called certificates.
Yes.
Without even genders now.
Oh, yes. I'm aware of that.
Wow.
Yes, I'm aware of that, brother.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You on point with that. You found it?
Yes, sir. I mean, Bay. Yes, Bay.
Yeah. I know. Listen, it's a pattern. I know. Like we say the word family, we shouldn't use the word
That's
family.
commercial, isn't it?
Because the word family, in the 4th edition of the Blackstone Dictionary, in Spanish,
Familiar.
they use the term familiar. So when I was talking to a Spanish-speaking person, I said, listen to this now, I'm gonna blow your mind. I don't know no Spanish, I don't read, and I don't write no Spanish, but I know Spanish better than you. So the person, and I say, I'm not saying this with ego or arrogancy, I'm just telling you that I'm an etymologist. I look to the origin of the word. So I said, can you tell me in Spanish what the word for family is? She says, familiar. I said, all right, good. Now, can you tell me the definition of the word family in Spanish? She said, oh, familiar. I said, no. What you did was gave me the Spanish variant for the word Spanish. All right? Family, that's just the English variant. You got the Spanish and the English. So if I was to tell you in Spanish, you would say familiar. Now, most of us here who speaks quote-unquote English, when we hear the word familiar, we thinking of something that you recognize. You don't see it as a family. All right? They really confuse you with this. So I said to her, did you know in Spanish law the word familia, which in English is called family, means servants and slaves? Oh, she was blown away. So she can believe it. Because when you look at those dictionaries, even in Spanish, so they're giving you connotative meaning in all the languages. I don't care if it's Arabic, Hebrew, whatever you call it. They're giving you wrong definitions. They're not even, matter of fact, they're not even a definition. Only thing they're doing is replacing one with the other.
It's so annoying.
So she was blown away. And this woman reads, writes, speaks Spanish fluently. And she was shook when I told her this. She said, brother, I've never heard none of that in my life. Certificate.
A formal declaration that can be used to document a fact, such as birth certificate.
And then you go stop right there. Now, here you reading certificate, excuse me, but yet at the same time, why would the word birth certificate be in the dictionary of finance and investment terms? You see what I'm saying? See, that's the kind of awareness you have to have. Because you said birth certificate. So I had to open that book and say, boom, you need to see this book. Matter of fact, you need to buy this book. Because there's terms they use in these books that we're unfamiliar with. Because we didn't realize that the birth certificate was printed on a banknote. It's called the American Banknote Company. You can Google this stuff. It's called the American Banknote Company. Coming out of the Bronx and New Jersey. It was a company years ago, like in the early 1900s. They had the American Banknote Company. That's what it's called. And usually at the bottom of the birth certificate is microscopically written where you need a high-powered magnifying glass to see it. It's on your left-hand side of the birth certificate. Usually I would have copies of it to let everybody see what it looks like. But it's called a banknote. All right? Banknote no different than having a banknote with a mortgage. All right? And then where is these birth certificates going? To the Department of Commerce. This is why I keep telling our brothers and sisters, you need to do what you call as a Freedom of Information Act, which is federal, to the Department of Commerce requesting your birth certificate. That's all you need to do is write down the serial number and the name. Because you know each birth certificate has series numbers. All right? And if you look up the word series in that same book, you'll see what they're talking about. Your question, brother.
You said
You look at the word series, yeah. Your question,
Freedom
brother.
of Information Act?
Yes.
Freedom of Information Act?
Yeah, what I'm saying is you can go to the Freedom of Information Act. Usually what happens is this. A lot of these agencies usually have their own form. So if you go on their website and look under the Freedom of Information Act, see if they got their own forms. If not, you can create your own form because they got templates out there. And you're going to need the serial number off the birth certificate and your name. All right? And then, of course, the date of birth. And you were going to request a copy of your birth certificate from the Department of Commerce. 20 years ago, I've seen that from someone who requested it, and you know what was on the front of the birth certificate? It stamped was bank stamps. Today they call it bank medallions. I don't know if anybody know what that is. They call it bank medallions.
Medallion stamp.
Yes.
That's a medallion stamp that we try to get on our security agreement.
That's true. That's correct. What you just said is correct. But I'm saying on the face of the birth certificate 20 years ago when I seen this myself personally, they have bank stamps all over the front of the bank, which means they're trading it. Yes, brother, your question.
So when you say you're an entomologist, so how
Yes,
long have you been an
entomologist.
Entomologist.
Yes.
And how long have you been an entomologist? And
You know, it's interesting. That's a good question because I went back with Abdullah in
excuse me, one more.
2008.
What is the
Definition?
and purpose of entomology?
Oh man, brother, very good question. Let me tell you what the purpose is. I got to go back to some of this stuff here. All right, because we're gonna have to go move with these bonds, claims, and liens. I'm gonna blow you away with that information. This is the spelling of the word. Entomon. Matter of fact, I brought this to the children's attention when I was in Louisville, Kentucky. And this was a cartoon. And did you know that none of those children didn't realize that it was a cartoon? I had to literally go on my phone and pull it up to show you that that's a cartoon. But the cartoon have nothing to do with the study and history and origin of the words. All right? So it's etymon is what it's called, technically. That's what it comes from, but it's etymology. All right? But this word here comes from the word etymon. All right, when you talk about logi, they say study of. When they say logi, All right, that's what they say. They say study of, but again, I'm gonna hit you with some stuff they ain't gonna tell you. All right, if you was to study etymology, I'm gonna show you some stuff that they're not telling you because maybe they don't know. They normally say study of law, logic. All right. All right, and the reason why I say logic is because you're dealing with the true origin, history of a word. And the word is usually associated with whatever the things are in nature. Like for instance, they have hieroglyphics. Our ancestors were so powerful that we put letters and words to the things that's in nature. So like for instance, and those things doesn't necessarily have to be defined. Like for instance, when you look at the sun, is there a definition for the sun?
No, sir.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's no definition for the sun.
Will you continue to speak as if you're speaking to me? I have to go to the
Yes, no problem. Yes. Yes. So, again, this is the science. So if you look at a tree, you don't have to define a tree, correct? You don't have to define, there's no definition for a tree. Like there's no definition in water. You see any ingredients in water, it ain't water. You see what I'm saying? So that's logic. When you see it is, it is. You don't have to define what it is. It is what it is. That's called logic. Because that goes back to the true origin of what it really is. But when they start changing things up or modifying it from its original, then it's no longer what it's supposed to be in true essence. You see what I'm saying? So that's why this is so important to see etymology. All right, and I can show you something in demonstration in law. All right, like an etymology. Like for instance, say you got a parking ticket, right? Say you got a parking ticket. Now you said, what's good is etymology? Well, the word is park. Park in parts of speech is a noun, as they say. The ing is a verb, which we already know, right? So how do you take a verb, how do you take a noun and change the noun into a verb? That's fraudulent conveyance of language. That's Title 18, subsection 1001. That's a federal crime to take this word park and put ing as a verb on the end of it. This is what they teach us in grade school.
Oh.
And we wound up paying tickets and everything because we lack knowledge of this. So we had knowledge of this, we realized that this is a fraud. There's no such thing as parking. You can't put a verb onto a noun. You see what I'm saying? Because if this table is a noun, then you don't put tabling. You follow what I'm saying? Wow. So a park, what is a park? Like a lot where you park cars at. You see what I'm saying? But if you take the ing, which is a verb, or operating it as an adverb, adding the verb onto the noun, that's a fraud.
But we use it as a verb, though.
Because we following them practice. We are following them practice. We don't know no better. You follow me? Like for instance, I'm gonna give you a good example what I'm talking about. I'm gonna give you another example what I'm talking about. We're gonna move on. All right? So now here's the other headbang.
Eat them up in court with this, man. They won't
You can eat them up in court. You can break down the summons, the complaint. You can pick that up. Yeah, but using that exactly. You can use that as your defense to throw that out because Title 18,
1001.
1000 now. It's called fraudulent conveyance of language. That's what it's called. Fraudulent conveyance of language because they're conveying the ing, the adverb, onto the noun, which is fraudulent conveyance of language. You follow me? Series. I want you looking for the series. Yes, brother.
Series.
Title 18. 18 USC.
1001.
And section 1001. And when you're going to look that up, you're going to see fraudulent conveyance of language. You'll see. Like I said, we got too much technology today. Google this stuff. So you'll see what I'm talking about. So let me show you what they taught us in grade school.
Section 1001.
Yes.
USC, United States Code.
Yeah. You just put 18 USC and just put 1001 and it'll come right up. And look the one that says Cornell University. I like that link.
So when they talk about you understand, that's fraudulent conveyance of language.
And and that's another word you should take out of your vocabulary. I already told you about sir. We should be saying sir because you the bay, you the L, you the day, you the pasha. So you the more. So you shouldn't be saying sir. That's European. All right, that's one. Family. I already showed you about family. And you should never say I understand because understand means that you're subject to someone's authority.
Yep, status.
And how you can tell is just listen to the intensity of how they use it. Do you understand? See?
Yep.
But then what happens is we take understand means to comprehend. Comprehending and understanding are two separate words. Either you cognitive, you acknowledge, you recognize. Those are the words you're supposed to use. But what we do is we substitute that with I understand. But the word under means to be subject.
Like
So,
citizen.
you see what I'm saying? And stand means status. In grade school, this is what they gave. This is the biggest fraud in the parts of speech. This is what they're killing us with. They're killing us with this, and they're killing us with this. Because I already showed you how they took the verb or the adverb and they're putting it onto the word part. So they're killing you with this, and they're killing you with this. All those parts of speech is of fraud. The only one that's not fraud is a verb. You know why it's not? You know why the verb is not a fraud? Because the word verb see, the V and the W is interchangeable. So when you look this up in the etymology dictionary, you're going to see this kind of spelling. All right, that's what you're going to see. So a word is a verb, and a verb is a word. A word was never a noun. Like, for instance, I give you an example. Like the beautiful sister over there, she's a woman, right? She's not a person.
Exactly.
This is what the cracker did. Yes, the cracker. Because it's cracking our consciousness with this crack. So he gives you the word person. So look up 26. Somebody look up 26 USC section 7701. I'm going to show you what I'm saying. 26 USC 7701.
Is it a business? Corporation?
26 is the income tax.
That's
You're right, track, Noble, but you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. 26 USC section 7701. 7701 of the Internal Revenue Code deals with definitions, and I want you to pull that up. Please, somebody pull that up.
My phone's
Please.
slow, but I'm putting it up.
No, it's cool. It's cool. And I want you to hear this. Somebody have to put it on the mic. So we're going to deal with the word person, because you know under the noun they got person, place, right? This is what they taught us in grade school, right? And thing, right? And then the other one is idea, which is really a thing. People be talking about, oh, an idea. That's a thing. A thing and an idea, one and the same. So I don't even bother putting the word thing up there. So so now the question is, why would you put the word person in the same category as place and thing? That's the question. Because place is dealing with real property, right? When you go to your house, that's a place. They classify that as real estate. That's real property, right? Things, those are personal property. So you got real property and you have personal property. So why would you put the word person in the same category as real property or personal property? Because they wanted to make you property. That's why they put it in the same category, because what they did is they removed the feminine A, right, which is persona. You have a persona, you're not a person. Persona with the A in Spanish is feminine. It's feminine. You see what I'm saying? So technically, what they did was they made it gender neutral. This is what you're talking about. I blew people's minds when I told them, when they came up with the noun was to create a place where you can start bringing in transgender and homosexuality.
A noun.
A noun, because a noun is gender neutral. It makes the gender neutral. So you don't recognize the beautiful sister here as a woman. Because in Spanish, they have masculine and feminine. But because in the English language, dumb crackers, again, turned around and took your gender away, took your masculinity away. You follow what I'm saying? So now we can come up with this language called transgender, because there's no such language as homosexuals and transgender in Arabic, in Hebrew, in Spanish, in French. You can go to all them ancient languages. That don't exist. That was taboo. The language, because it says in the image of God created he, what? Male and female. That's the language. So there was no Steve and Steve or Eve and Eve. Nature itself, trees, masculine, feminine. Insects, masculine, feminine. Animals, masculine, feminine. You don't see no homosexual animals and no transgender animals and insects. All right? So they're coming up with this craziness. You have it, brother?
Yeah, I do have it.
Yeah, you're gonna have, oh, all right. 26 U.S.C. section 7701?
Yes, I have it.
Yes, read it out loud, brother.
Person.
All right, you hear what it said? It started with what?
Person.
Hey, keep going, brother.
The term person shall be construed.
Stop right there. The person shall be what? Construed. Which means, again, that's Title 18, subsection 1001. Fraud the conveyance of language. How do you take the person to be construed? Now, bad enough they took the feminine off the word person. Now they want to tell you what a definition of what person means by construing it.
So that's it eating at itself. That's the law eating at itself.
Read it, brother. Read it.
The term person shall be construed to mean to include an individual, a trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation.
You see? So we always keep talking about corporations, but we didn't realize that the trust is looked upon as a person. The estate was looked upon as a person. A joint corporation is looked upon as a person. A partnership is looked at as a person. Then they use the word individual. Be careful. You are not an individual, because if you pay attention to the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag, which I don't agree with, but there was one factor in there that says one nation under God, what?
Individually.
Indivisible.
Indivisible.
Indivisible, which means not divided. So you're not an individual, because the word individual is a financial term. You're talking about dividends. Individual, that's dividends, like 3/5 of a person. All right? So did you find out the word series?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I want you to look at the word series, because remember I told you the word series is on the birth certificate. They issue the birth certificate in what? Series. All right? And so I'm gonna be going into these bonds. Yeah, look at the word series. You have to forgive me for loaning you all this information.
No, I need it. Please
Thank
continue.
you. It's all good.
Yeah, so I'm just giving you this insight. All right, and the reason why I'm giving you that insight is because we want to talk about bonds, claims, liens on public officials. Let me know when you got that. Yes, brother.
Yeah,
You got it?
advanced question.
Yes, a question.
One of the videos you were talking about notice of claim to risk management. And I was
Yes.
trying to find out how would you submit a claim under risk management?
Yes.
uh,
Got you.
Mortgage or debt collector
All right.
to seek damages.
Yes, true. Very good question.
We got a couple of
Because that relates to this.
They have a couple of series.
That relates to that. Which is the main one?
It says series bond, series.
All right, give me the mic so you can read it. Yeah. No, I'm just saying. What series that you prefer to choose?
Series bond.
All right,
Series
read that.
bond.
Read that.
Savings bond issued by the United States. A savings bond issued by the United States government from 1941 to 1979.
All right.
The bonds were then replaced by Series EEO and Series HH.
Those are classifications and ratings under Standard and Poor's, Moody's, Fidelity. Those are ratings of certain bonds. That's what it is. Those are certain classifications. So the higher the classification, the bigger the returns or the residuals are. So
Let me go
that's
to
what
the
you
serial
yes.
bond.
Yes.
A bond issued usually of a municipality with various mature dates scheduled at regular.
You can stop right there. You use the term, and this is going with this brother here. See, man, because that's going into my subject. I just had to put a cap, on what because a lot of this stuff I know already. Sometimes I just got to just review it. Municipal bonds. Now, when you want a copy of the birth certificate, as they say, you go into the municipality, whatever municipality that you were quote unquote born in, as they say. Another word we don't need to use, the word born. And that's why the etymology, it'd have been good if the brother could have been here long enough.
We still more like vital statistics.
True.
Things like
Excuse me. I'll show you something. See the
Oh,
word?
wow.
See the word? So there's always a word inside a word. They don't teach us that in school, grade school either. So do you see the word born in the word abort?
Yes.
You see? See? So you never was born. You follow me? You gotta be careful with these words. I'm gonna tell you what's going on. I'm telling you, because everything is codified. These Europeans, these crackers, are codifying this language as a weapon of warfare. Did you know in criminal law, when you look up the word abandonment, when you look this word up, when you look up that word abandonment, it relates to the word abortion, or to abort, right? To leave your child, to abort, to abandon. You get what I'm saying? Did you know in criminal law, when you look up the word abandonment, the first thing they got down there is this. Child. You can go to any criminal law book in any state. I don't care, Florida, California, New York, Maryland. Look up the word abandonment in criminal law. And the first thing you're going to see in definition is what? So now, we don't think. We see it, but we're not relating with, God damn, why would there's, this is what they start off with first. That's what they have to do is pull up the criminal law in your state here and look up abandonment, and you're going to see the first thing they're going to do is child. And matter of fact, they got this word down there next to it. These devils are, hey, I'm telling you, this
Crackers is horrible. Support.
Child support. So those two words, when you go to the criminal statute, I don't care what state or municipality you go, look it up. For the word abandonment, you're going to see these two main words under abandonment. So when did this abortion or abort, when that happened at? That happened at the hospital.
You signed that.
Because you manually, the mother did not know that she manually handed the child over to the state on paper. It was a constructive abandonment. It was done on paper. You see what I'm saying? Because she signed her child's rights away to the state. That's why they state's children. And that's why CPS or Dreyfus or whatever the alphabet agency for children, they come in the house and take your children away. All right? I know you got questions. Yes, you got the mic. I want to get on the mic.
I was going to make a statement. That's almost
Yes.
like a sleight of hand.
That's exactly what it is.
Because
I teach that.
Because in like hypnosis,
Yes.
it's almost like if you're doing a rapid or instant induction. because
Yes.
While you're looking one way, something else happens.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head because I teach that. It's a sleight of hand.
Bamboo.
That's what they're doing to the sisters. She don't know that when she give birth to her child, and the 6th edition of Black's Law Dictionary, you look at the word delivery. Delivery in the 6th edition gives you a beautiful definition of what's going on. The definition they give you for delivery is exactly what describes in sleight of hand. Yes, my brother.
So a person would abandon their child by the birth certificate?
Mm-hmm.
And then the social security number?
Well, that's just an account.
But
Basically, it's the
birth-
birth certificate. It's the main one.
That's the abandonment.
That's the abandonment. Yes. Yes.
Caregiver, the care, what is it? What did the state call her, right?
Yes, brother.
So in other words, she made a come out of it. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. Because
Or it?
it's interesting that you said that, because the child, they were considered to be human, right? But if you go to New York State Constitution, Article 1, Section 17, because I noticed that each state doesn't have this, but they do have a federal code. The federal code is 15. You're going to want to write this down if you're listening. The federal code is 15 USC Section 17. But that is in New York State Constitution, Article 1, Section 17.
FRC or
15 USC Section 17. All right, I'm gonna be throwing some stuff out there for y'all to be looking at, because yes, 17. It's 15 USC Section 17, but that they adopted that from the New York State Constitution, which was Article 1, Section 17. I have not really seen that in any other state constitution but New York State Constitution, and this is what it says. It says the labor of human beings is not an article of commerce nor a commodity and cannot be construed as such. You hear that? The labor of human beings. Now, when they say the labor of human beings, again, because these folks is so equivocal when it comes to using the language, you got to really know what these people are talking about. So when they said the labor of human beings, right? That could either mean you going to work in labor, or it could be a woman going in labor.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? But they would take either the man's labor or the woman's labor of giving birth to the child, and they would give it up as an article of commerce or a commodity. That's the birth certificate. You see? So they're going to do you either way. Either through her giving birth or through him do your actual physical labor. So you notice they use the word labor for a woman when she gives birth and labor for a man when he goes to work. You see what I'm saying? You see how they catch them both? Let me show you another one. Let me show you another one. Now you know you have contractors.
that's federal, right?
True. It could be state too. You can either have a contractor, all right, contracting, right, which is a contract. But we didn't realize that the word con means to bind, and the word tract means land. Right? So let me tell you what the European does. Once the baby is born, I have to say it like that because it's abandonment, they take the baby's footprint on paper, so the baby never gets to put his or her feet on land. So they're already claiming the child by putting the ink wet on the child's foot and putting it on these cards.
That's the Newton Pactum contract.
You see what I'm saying? But technically, when a woman is going to labor, she has contractions. You see the word? Contractions. So they're using her, they're assimilating her to create what they're creating, to be able to take. A woman has contractions. You see? But when the babies come forth, she's tying the baby to the land, because when the baby takes his first step, the baby's stepping on land, a tract of land. That's why in our ancient system, how we get land is through marrying a woman. What the European did is he came up with the idea of buying and selling land. In our ancient tradition, there was no such thing as buying and selling. That's the European. You got land by marrying a woman because she ties you to the land through inheritance. Because remember, we had a matriarchal system. You see what I'm saying? And the European have got us messed up thinking that buying property, selling, and making big money in real estate, that's European. You know what I'm saying? Because if you had your land, brother, and you had no taxes and no title and no deeds on it, you just live. You follow me? Now these crackers got deeds and titles and insurance and all kinds of stuff. And guess what? You become the indentured servant. Because you got the word deed. The word deed means indentured servant or performance. Like a good deed.
Good.
So you have to perform. So that performance is property taxes, pay the water. Those are the transmitting utilities. That's your deed. So that's why when you look at the title, like Schedule A, you see they got easement and appurtenances. A lot of us don't know what that stuff means. You know? Yes,
I can't think of the terminology, but
Yes.
when the mother has to fill out the application
Yes.
for having a baby,
Yes.
she becomes the informant.
Yes, that's the term, yeah.
Yes, that's
Yes.
what it is.
Yeah.
They gotta-
As an informant, that's right. Because she's telling on herself and her child. Yeah, but she wouldn't know that. Because-
How do we get it? Well, we need a
Well,
session on how
brother,
to get around that.
brother, it's simple. But most of the sisters not comfortable with it because of the poison in their mind. You got sisters who become, housewives, as far as giving birth. Children don't have to be birthed in the hospital. All right? The issue is you have to make sure you set things up for your child, like homeschooling and the finances. Between homeschooling and the finances are the two most important, and knowing the laws. All right? Because you're going to be going through this legal system, so you have to know something. So you have to have finance, because the child has to survive. The child has to buy food, because the way things is, it ain't like the child gonna live in the wilderness. You see what I'm saying? The child gonna have to live out here. So the question is, how do you live out here without being subjected out here? You see what I'm saying? So we do got some sisters out here that I'm aware of who don't have birth certificate. Like for instance, one sister down in Atlanta, unfortunately, they took 2 of her children. She got them back, but one of the children had a birth certificate. The newborn, as they say, didn't have one. So they jailed the sister because she refused to get a birth certificate for the quote-unquote newborn, right? The older child who did have a birth certificate, they used that birth certificate to get federal funding, which funds their office and fund the child, mostly their office, because the birth certificate helped them get the funding. The newborn child couldn't get the funding. They couldn't get the funding because there was no birth certificate to provide it. So they went at her and said, listen, we need the birth certificate for the child. She said, I'm gonna do that. So they jailed her. And so she stayed there, and I gotta give the sister props. She persevered. So eventually they had to release her because there's no law saying you have to have a birth certificate on your child. You know what I'm saying? So they released her child. So she got both her children back. And the baby who didn't have the birth certificate still don't have the birth certificate to this day. And she wished she didn't have one on the older child.
But she could sue them for that.
No, but we already know that already. But I'm just giving you the scenario. That's true. What you're saying is true. But I'm just saying, I was just giving you the scenario of how powerful of not having the birth certificate on the child. Yes, brother.
Yeah. Brother Baker.
Yes.
Excuse me. I don't know if people remember this, but I do. They use the Bible as.
You got it?
Go elaborate better.
No, brother,
Elaborate
continue, brother. I want you to continue because I want to hear. Because you're my elder, so you saying something that's beautiful.
They used to use the Bible as a record.
True.
For various babies.
That's true.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know if you
That's true. And the baptism certificate.
and it was legal.
Yes, it was legal. And you know why it was legal? Because it was ecclesiastical law.
Right.
And what I used to teach years ago, and I'll still teach this today, that criminal law comes from civil law, and civil law comes from ecclesiastical law. So the highest law in the land is ecclesiastical law. All right? So to this day, it still can be done. Baptism, like for instance, say for instance you get a Social Security number. If you read the instructions on the Social Security application, it would either mention a birth certificate or baptism certificate. It's on there. A lot of people just don't read. It's on there. You see what I'm saying? So, but of course you wouldn't even give them the baptism certificate because you're not trying to get no Social Security number for the child. But that's only if you're gonna set the child up in the form of a trust. All right, that the child will be a beneficiary of the trust, and that the trust would take care of the child for the rest of the child's life. So the child is not gonna really need a Social Security number. The child ain't gonna really need a birth certificate. But that's the parent, or the mom, I should say, more correct, and the dad have to have this on right. Because, yes, beloved.
Okay, so I have a question. How do you,
Yeah.
am I not speaking loud enough?
No.
Okay.
We just want to make sure we get it on.
All right.
As you are.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how do you reclaim that as an adult? Like, is there a process? Or
All right,
code
reclaiming.
Were you reclaiming your, I guess,
Birth certificate?
Persona?
Oh, persona. All right. Oh, you have to declare.
Nationality.
There you go.
Judicial name, proclamation.
Yeah, you have to declare your nationality. Yeah, it's called Declaration of Nationality, Constitutional Immunity. Matter of fact, it was up here on the board earlier. I was trying to erase it off. All right, you have to declare your nationality, sis. That's basically what it is.
Would you say also secure party processes?
No, brother, you declare your nationality. When you say secure party, that's a commercial activity. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right.
But that you don't have to associate that with this.
Got you.
Because every nationality ain't doing what you're saying.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying over?
Yes.
So if they're not doing it, why are we doing
Yes.
something that they ain't doing?
Yes.
This is your secure party.
Yes, got you.
All right, your declaration of nationality is your secure party. This is how you secure yourself. Because once you declare your nationality, all right, as far as the Bey, the Ali, the L, the Day, these, and it's several other names, I should say technically titles of nobility, all right? And the reason why I'm saying that, because when you go to Article 1, let me show you what I'm talking about, beloved sis. Let me show you what I'm talking about. When you go to
Constitution.
Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution.
According to Cornell Legal Information Institute, the migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, when a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person.
All right, that's a slave clause. That's not what I'm looking for.
Article 1, Section 9, you said?
Article 1, Section 9, let me see. It should be Section 9, Article 1, Section 9. Where are you? All right. It's time to do it. U.S. Constitution. Come on.
According to Cornell Legal Information Institute,
U.S. Constitution. All right. Could I do it like that? Because sometimes these phones lock you in and you can't see what you're looking for. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Section 5, Section 6, Section 7, 8. All right, it is Section 9, it's Clause 8. Listen to what they say. This is very important that you notice. I don't know if this is being taught to y'all, but you need to notice. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. And listen to what it says. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office or profit or trust under them shall without consent of Congress accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state. So again, beloved sister, you asked an excellent question. You have to declare your nationality. Once you declare your nationality, what you are doing is you invoking Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. All right, because any one of these titles, which you would definitely declare as your free national name, would be your title of nobility. All right, this is what I teach as a Moor. I've been doing this for over 20 years. All right, so you know what's going on. All right, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. These are titles of nobility and several more. So when you declare that, they're saying with consent of Congress. We don't need consent from Congress. All right, to declare your nationality. All right, so once you declare your nationality, that means you're taking on the title of nobility. All right, now let me drop jewels on you all, because when Meghan was getting married to Henry, right, I watched the whole program. Why? Because they're dropping jewels in science. I watched the whole program. And let me drop on you all what they were saying.
While they was getting married.
Huh?
While they was getting married.
True, but they were showing things as the marriage procession was going on. But like Noble Juwali said, signs and symbols for a conscious mind. So if you ain't conscious of what's going on, you just looking at it for entertainment. They was talking about her train dress, right? They said that she had 52 flowers that represent the Commonwealth. That thing threw me to the floor. So there's 52 Commonwealth nations around the world, right? Or nation states around the world. Like Virginia's a Commonwealth, Pennsylvania's a Commonwealth, and even outside, like Canada and other places. So they said that she has 52 flowers that represent the Commonwealth. How many of our sisters caught that? How many of our Moorish sisters caught that? You see what I'm saying? I don't know if you caught that more.
So what was she giving up props?
That Meghan's dress during the wedding procession, right? Because I had to see it. I had to make sure I stay home and did nothing else. I don't want nobody calling me because Moorish science. I got to see what's going on. So because they're using our science against us. All right? So I'm analyzing this. As a matter of fact, they even had one of the symbols.
Meghan Markle?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They even had the symbol from the Togo, from the Benin, Togo, from from like Ueda, you know, like in which is some of the brothers and sisters was captured and brought to Haiti. All right, the place over there in Togo and Benin. You know the British went in there and they stole their sacred symbols.
Right.
You'll see the soldiers, Harry and all them other crackers, is wearing that symbol. That's from the Togo, that's from the Moors, that's from us. You see what I'm saying? You see it. Matter of fact, they call it the Red Baron. You ever see the plane with the Red Baron with that cross they call it?
Yeah.
That's from Togo, from West Africa, from the Benin. That belongs to us. I have a book with that in there. So they stole that from us. This is what I'm saying. So that's why I have to watch stuff like that just to see what they're generating on the world. But you have to have consciousness to realize your culture, what they have stolen and what they're putting out before us. But again, on Megan's dress, her train, it was 52 flowers. The 52 flowers represent the 52 Commonwealth nations. I was paying close attention to what they was dropping. I said, yo, you know? So, but the question is, did Megan get consent from the Congress to take on the title of nobility? You with me? Mm-hmm. Did Megan get consent from Congress? Because I just read it to you, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. You know what I'm saying? No, she technically, she didn't declare her nationality.
No.
She didn't. If she, I would agree with you, beloved sister, if she declared her nationality, she wouldn't have to. But she didn't declare her nationality. And the question is, and I'm gonna write to Congress over there in California. I'm gonna write and find out, did she get consent from Congress to take on the title of nobility? Because she's under the 14th Amendment. A lot of people's not paying attention. I'm bringing things out to Moors as
But
throwing
they would
Moors
have
to the
to pay
floor.
attention to that, won't they?
Excuse me?
They would have to pay attention to that before she gets up all the way.
Brother, it's all political, but my point is that we are not paying attention. I'm not, the hell with the practice.
Right.
Look how they keeping you subjugated.
Yeah.
It's like she got away. But she didn't declare no nationality. How did she declare no nationality to get away? Wasn't they jumping on Barack Obama about a birth certificate? Come on, let's pay attention.
But she did claim her Moors family hood, man. Going back, she did say she come from a Moors dynasty.
I didn't hear anything, you know.
No, when she first told me I'm getting married, she claimed her whole. She said I come from a Moors dynasty.
All right, I like to check that
that's
out.
publicly. That is public. That is a public.
She said that.
Yeah, I never heard it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying she didn't say it, but I'm saying I never heard it.
Matter of fact, and it goes back to, let me see that, man. It goes back to her and her Queen Elizabeth.
All right.
And all them. Amalgamated Moors.
Yeah, true.
Because Queen Charlotte.
Yes, we already know to deal with that. She married King George III.
Right.
And her throne goes back to the Moors in Spain, in Portugal.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm aware of Queen Charlotte. Your question, brother?
Brother Bay,
Yes.
you're right. But also the Queen, it was on televised. It was televised. Like you said, it went over. It was a portrait of her grandmother. I forgot who Queen it was.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
And did you see it?
It should be on YouTube.
And Harry and her was standing before the Queen, and the Queen said, "Oh yes, that's Mom." You know how the British use that.
Yeah.
Say that's Mom. Mom had hair like the sister,
Yes. Gotcha.
but it went over.
People's heads. Yeah. Well, one thing I did like about Megan, that her mother was wearing locks in her hair. You know? Yes.
We gotta get to them.
Yes, I'm looking to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna ask, if we can get back to the.
No, we're gonna get back to it right now, because you talked about risk management. But there were some facts I had to bring out.
I have a question.
All right, hold on for a minute, brother. Hold on for a minute. Risk management. Every municipality, I don't care what city or municipality you in, all of them have what you call is a risk management. Risk management have bonds. Matter of fact, this is the state of Maryland. I like to do PowerPoints too, because I like to show people what's going on. Because I can put these things up on my phone, but just to show people is a whole different reality. The state of Maryland have a Treasury Department. The Treasury Department are actually selling bonds. All right? Each municipality do sell bonds. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. I don't know what the bond ratings as far as purchasing here is. It's something that you would have to look up, or you have to call the Treasury Department and find out for yourselves here in the state of Maryland. But in New York, you can buy a bond for 50 grand, right?
50,000, wow.
And you can get 2% interest, which come up to about $1,000 a week. Because what you're doing is you're loaning the Treasury your money as a loan to purchase a bond, and you get 2% interest on that bond off the $50,000
A week.
a week. You get $1,000 a week,
For how long?
which is for as long as you want. Because in 7 days you get 2% off that 50,000, which comes up to a week. You see what I'm saying? Wow. Which is $4,000 a month.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of us don't know that. It's worth it. If I had 50 grand right now, you know what we wind up doing? We wind up spending it.
Yeah.
All right? I always say, don't spend the principal, spend the interest. The 50,000 is the principal. The $1,000 is the interest. You said how long? As long as you don't touch the principal. Once you suspend the principal, you automatically get no more interest. All right? These are things that we need to be aware of. I did some research here just for the state of Maryland right here. And you can go right on to the Treasury, the state of Maryland Treasury Department website. Right? And they got a schedule for bonds for each city. You know, each city, like Prince George County, you know, because you got several different counties here in Maryland. Wow. And each one of these counties have bonds. And that the Treasury Department sells these bonds. I'm giving you some basic knowledge and information that's on the website. This is not something that Kemitu is making up. Yeah. A lot of our people are talking about bonds in a very connotative way. Yeah. Like for instance, I had a client who said to me, and I was helping him with the case. He says to me, "Oh brother, I went down there this is in Jersey, and I went to go file a bond." And I said, "Brother, I don't agree with what you're doing." I said, "Brother, you have to be careful because you can run up getting jail time." So they turned around and rejected what he gave, and he came back and told me, "Oh brother, they sent me back the bond." I said, "Brother, they didn't never send you back a bond. Because you write this word on a piece of paper, don't make that's what it is. Because you don't even know what a bond is. First of all, that's the biggest word when it comes to a bond. You follow what I'm saying? So people got to know what bonds are. People can't be making up bonds because you're going to get in trouble. Because first of all, you're not licensed. Do you follow me what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're not licensed, right, to underwrite bonds. It's very important because people out there are underwriting bonds and they're not licensed, they're not brokers to put their hands on bonds. Like for instance, let me give you an example, right? There's a brother, he's still in his house. It's been 9 years and I still have him in his house. I found his mortgage bond, which is unheard of. Not even the brokers can even tell you that. And I'm talking about folks who's licensed, because I do a lot of financial analysis, all right? And how I got his bond is through a securitization audit. And I took one of the Q-sub numbers, right? I write it on the board. I took one of the Q-sub numbers, and I told him, I said, listen, and I did the research. I went on to one of the financial platforms with the Q-sub number, and I seen his bond, and I showed it to him. He couldn't believe it. And he said, brother, how much is the bond for me to purchase? I said, it's $1,000. He said, oh my God, I'm gonna buy a lot of bonds. I said, no, you don't, brother. You just need to buy one bond. Because once you buy one bond, you become the bondholder. All right, so I blew his mind. So what you need to do is go purchase the bond. So he had an account set up with Fidelity. All right? So when he went to Fidelity, I had to tell him, there's things you can say, there's things you can't say. Because remember, you're not a broker. You're not licensed. I know I'm blowing your big piece back, bro. So check this out. So I said, when you get on the phone with the Fidelity broker, just tell them you have a QSUP number and you want to purchase a bond. But let me give you a disclaimer that you need to tell the broker. The broker does not know that that's your mortgage bond. You're not supposed to know that's your mortgage bond. All right, and he's going to want to know how you know about the bond. So you're going to have to tell him that you have a high-performing portfolio and you need some low-performing bonds so you can offset your taxes. You have to know how to talk that financial talk. So when he got on the phone, right? When he got on the phone, he talked to the Fidelity broker. He says, listen, sir, I have a Fidelity account and I have to purchase some bonds. I have a QSUP number. He says, okay, fine, no problem. What's the QSUP number? So he gave him the QSUP number, and once he gave him the QSUP number, the first thing that the Fidelity broker had said to him is, who told you about this bond? Now, he didn't say mortgage bond. He just said, who told you about this bond? Because as far as he's concerned, he was not supposed to know about that. All right? Because that's almost like saying inside trading. That's what they're talking about. So he says, well, I have a broker, and I have a high-performing portfolio, and I needed some low-performing bonds so I could offset my taxes. This is the language that he, but even though he told him that, he still would not allow him to purchase that bond. You know what I'm saying? So the only way he's going to be able to purchase it is try to let another broker talk to the broker to buy the bonds. You see what I'm saying? But technically, it shouldn't have to be that way, because once you got a broker, it's like going into the market, like stocks, bonds. You know, you can have your broker to purchase any financial instrument that you want, so you can make your residual income. You see what I'm saying? So again,
So you need a broker basically to buy that
yeah.
bond.
Well, you get a brokerage account. Once you get a brokerage account, you're going to have brokers ready, set to go on helping you purchasing these bonds. Now you can buy bonds that's already government issued, that's on the market. Now these bonds usually go by, I'm telling you, y'all, you ain't gonna find nobody licensed, MBA, CPA, coming up in here teaching this stuff. No. This is what I'm dropping on y'all. Thank the ancestors, because
Hey, one thing real quick.
Yes.
That's $1,000 a week. Man, when you for a whole year, that's $48,000.
That's correct. That's what I'm telling you. That's correct.
Right.
Yes, but a lot of people, Brother Ali, don't notice, because you told me on the phone months ago. I was supposed to be here months ago. You said, brother, I want you to come here. I don't want you to talk about bonds, claims, liens on public offices. All right. So there's a wrong way to do this, and there's a right way to do this. All right. It ain't like you can't do it, because I got an article here with some sovereign citizens, white patriot movement, was putting false claims and stuff on these public officials, and so they got arrested for it. You see what I'm saying? And I don't want our Moorish brothers and sisters to walk down that same path, because a lot of them is walking down that same path, and I don't agree with it. So when you talk, because listen, I'm a fanatic with this stuff. I mean, when my wife was with me at the time, like I said in my what I said in my other lectures, she said, "You love them goddamn books more than you love me." I'm on patron. So my point is, I do a lot of research and studies, and I'm doing it for us. Because the question is, after you have learned this stuff from me, the question is, who are you getting this from, other than me? And I shouldn't be the only one that's teaching this, because Noble Juali made it clear to me. Because you'll say to me, brother, how do you come into the light of teaching finance, about bonds and claims and liens, all right? In general, not because it's just on public officials, that's a different topic, all right? But we just need to know these things in general, all right? And then we can talk about public offices, all right? And I don't know if I have enough time, but I may have to come back for that. But I just want to move to this bond, claim, and liens. At least if I have enough time, I can run through all that stuff.
Come back in 2 weeks.
No problem. Listen, I'll pick up on it. It'll be part 2. You know, pick up on what I left off. But my point is, the Treasury Department of the state of Maryland, y'all need to go to their website. Yes, brother.
Okay, Treasury Department of the State of Maryland. The question is CUSIP number. Your CUSIP number.
Yes.
Can you use your CUSIP number to purchase those bonds?
No, you don't have to use a QSEP number to purchase those bonds.
I mean, bond says they want for the
True.
Treasury
You
Department.
know what I'm saying is, if you go to the state of Maryland Treasury Department,
Yes.
they sell in bonds, brother. So you don't need a QSEP number to sell the bonds. I hear what you're saying. All right. That's when the brother who I was talking about, he was looking to purchase bonds in reference to the QSEP number for Fidelity. But when it comes to going to the Treasury Department for the state or any state, you can buy bonds. You don't need a QSEP number to buy bonds.
But what if you don't have $50,000?
Brother, I'm just giving you general information.
Oh.
And it don't have to be 50,000. The bond could be maybe less, maybe 10,000.
Yeah, I got you.
I was just giving you a general idea. I hear what you're saying, but I was just giving you knowledge that we would not normally have.
Right.
Is what I'm giving you. Because it may be a day you're going to come across $50,000.
Yes, it could be 1,000.
Sure, exactly. So, thank you, beloved brother. But it's good to have this knowledge, even if you didn't. And I wouldn't say I don't have $50,000. I never professed that, because I remember in my lecture in Delaware, a brother was saying, "But brother, I'm broke." And I said, "Brother, you have a birth certificate?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Then you ain't broke."
Excuse me.
I said, "If you got a birth certificate, you ain't broke." Well, everybody was laughing in there too, because they couldn't help it. Yeah, because he kept telling me, and I don't like when people keep professing poverty. You know what I'm saying? That's that cracker again, on your mind.
That's right.
You don't keep professing poverty. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to, no, when I get.
Exactly.
But the point is that when we get it, like for instance, the lottery is crazy, is off the chain. All right? But the point is, when we do get this money, we don't think about things like this. Oh, and by the way, too, Brother Ali, this is tax free.
Ooh.
That's another thing you need to be aware of. This is tax free. Anytime you buy government bonds are tax free. They don't tax you on that. Because the tax choose to tax themselves, so they're not going to do that.
So what do we need is 50 grand and
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be 50 grand.
Right.
Could be
Maybe
more.
1,000.
It could be 1,000. It depends on what they're selling it for, so I can't say. Because each state,
grand a week.
you see what I'm saying? Yeah, well, true. I like the way you think. That's true.
I'm just saying. I'm just thinking that if
You have power among yourselves.
I mean, because you think about it, if we all like seriously try, think about it. If we all did that, we'll be so much powerful.
Well, we'll put it this way:
fiat.
if you all chipped in for 50 grand and purchased the bond,
We could do one or
and
two
get
or three
$1,000
bonds.
a week, which is $4 grand, y'all can divide it among how many of y'all chipped in. All right, as a group. All right, because we
But
have the network.
but who says it has to be fiat?
I don't know what you mean when you say that. Yes, brother.
I appreciate the great information that you're sharing, and I definitely want to look into it. I want to expand our conversation.
Yes.
And it's not to dissuade anybody from doing what you're doing, but I think that's definitely a good step for us to take. But if you all collectively gave me $50,000 a week, I give you $1,000 back a week. I give me $50,000 every week. Or, you give me $50,000, I'll give you $1,000 back every week. But the key to it is, and again, I don't want to say that this isn't a good idea. I think this is a great idea. But the key to this is, if, let's say it's 50 of us, and everybody puts up $1,000.
True, that's 50,000 right there.
So that's $50,000. Now, all 50 of us say, well, we want this to work. And we know he's got to reach a certain number to make this work.
True.
So that means, hey, let me send this text message out. Let me send this email. Let me do this Facebook post. Let me go over and tell everybody I'm over here at this spot. I want y'all to come over and check it out. Then you undergird the ability for me to make sure that my word is good. And we also bring the community together.
True.
Now, I ain't got no problems with, us supporting, our own financial, recovery or building up. However, the institution that ultimately we're putting our money in,
It's the same institution we trying to get out from.
It don't look too favorably
You're
on
not
our
gonna listen to this, brother.
But I don't want to say. I just want to say
That's
let's
our community.
let's maybe
It's your
start
community.
here,
Yeah.
and then let's look to evolve to a point
Well,
where
that's
we're
what you're
supporting
supposed to
our
do.
own. Yeah,
This is, no,
That's
we're not
real.
stuck here.
That's
Yeah.
real.
That's just
That's
how
real.
we generate.
yeah.
You know
Because
what I'm saying? We give ideas.
I'd love for you to be able to say, yeah, y'all put $50,000 into Everlasting Life every single week, boom, and I guarantee that money. That's guaranteed.
Yeah,
That ain't.
I'm in agreement with you.
Because
Yeah.
what that that gives us the capability of doing is marketing to more people and I can make $50,000 turn into $75,000. I don't know if I can do it in a week, but I can definitely do it in a month. And if I can do it in a month, then that's $1,000 every month for every man year.
So
We can do it.
So basically, what he's saying is true. But what I was just doing was just bringing an awareness that most people don't know.
Yep. We need to
They'll
know.
take the
That's what
50,000 and they'll bust it right up.
Yep.
I'm saying, why spend up the principal when you can invest the principal into a bond that's going to give you 2% interest, which is going to be $1,000 a week for as long as you have the bond in there. That's all I'm saying.
That's powerful.
That's very
You know
powerful.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
And what he's saying is powerful.
Very powerful.
You know what I'm saying? But I know what the
Very
minds of our people. So the minds of our people, some of them with like minds will go with the brother's saying, and some of us ain't going to go along with what we're saying. Some of us going to want to do it by themselves.
Well, we need to get this 50,000 or more.
You know what I'm saying?
piece.
So I know what I'm trying to say is that I know the mind of our people. We Democrats, we Republicans, we this, we that.
Switch-watch.
So it's difficult to bring us together. What the brother was saying is true based upon like minds. Like minds can do what he's saying. But not all of us have like minds. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to relationship. You see what I'm saying? And so this information needs to be put out there. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm doing. Because how many of us know about this? All right? So this is what makes this powerful, is to bring this information out here. How many people came here through the Everlasting Life talking this language?
None.
Making the awareness of our people. Now again, as I was saying earlier, who brought this to my attention is Noble Ali. He says it takes finance to lift a nation. That's what he said. Noble Ali said that. He said finance and science means lifeline. So we have to begin to start analyzing on how we can begin to start to invest our principal so that way we can have a residual income residually. You see what I'm saying? That's what we need. We don't need, because if you have this, brother, you wouldn't have to work a job.
Yeah, that's the whole.
You wouldn't have to work a job.
You could do that 1 year and then flip it again the next year, and you getting $8,000 a month.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't even have
That's
to
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And that's what
so
I'm
we need to
coming
focus on this $100,000 or $200,000 and invest in it.
Yes, so that's the
This is
point
what
of
it
why I'm
is.
bringing it up. Because, and the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because, first of all, the place that we're in right now, this is a bond on this place. The sidewalk has a bond on it. Everything is a bond. So you can't get out this institution. The cracker, again, said this, listen, we are living in a,
Bond age, ain't we?
thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. You know what I'm saying? We're living in a bond age. So what I'm saying is, we don't need to be subject to them subjugating us as bonds.
Can't we buy our public official bonds too?
You see what I'm saying?
They have bonds.
What do you mean?
Don't they have
You
bonds?
throw me off. Bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just thought.
No. The question again, you said, can you buy our?
No, the public officials. Like, they have bonds. They supposed to have bonds on them or whatever. Am I off or?
Well, you can't buy their bonds because, see, tonight, as Brother Ali says to me, brother, I want you to come here and talk about bonds and claims and liens. There's various types of bonds. Now, the individual police officer, he doesn't have a bond. The individual judge on the bench, they don't have a bond. A lot of us under misconception is, I'm going to put a lien on the judge's bond. You get what I'm saying? The judge don't have a bond. It's his office that has the bond. So as long as he's in, let me finish, brother.
I'm listening.
As long as he's in office, he's bonded. Once he comes out of office, he's no longer bonded. Let me give you a good example. You got a car. You have to have insurance on it, which is a bond. But long as you have your car, you have to have insurance, which is a bond. But once you get rid of your car, is there any reason why you would keep your insurance? You get what I'm saying? Because you're gonna be spending money for no reason. Well, the municipality ain't gonna be spending money on this a public official if he's no longer in office. The bond comes with the office. It doesn't come with the individual. So when you hear people talking about we're gonna put liens on judges' bonds and put judges' bonds, no. There's no such thing as a judge. Let me say this again. A police officer or any of these public officials have their own personal bonds. It doesn't exist.
So you don't put a
But
bond
in
on
the
your
office, all right. If you talking, I'm talking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, brother. It's just that I want people to hear you, but I don't want you to clash with me. So what were you saying?
So that means that we're not putting a bond on their office. I mean, we're not putting a lien on their office. We're putting a lien on their personal.
No. No, you couldn't do that. That you can do. You can put it, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. You see what I'm saying? Because individually, they got their name attached to this. Individually, they got their name attached to that. So you could put a lien on the judge's house, all right, to make a claim. But it can't be a false claim now. Because, oh, the judge is so and so, so I'm just going to put a lien on it. You see what I'm saying? You can't just arbitrarily put a lien, which is a claim, because a claim equals a lien that equals a claim. Now, listen to me carefully. All claims are not liens, but all liens are claims. I don't know if I'm making that clear. All claims are not liens, but all liens are claims. Because you got some claims, like for instance, as the beloved brother here was talking about risk management, right? Say for instance, a public official injured you. You have to put in what you call is a notice of claim. If a police officer hurt you, any public official hurt you while they're in office, you put a notice of claim. You can either, it depends if it's state as far as the state of Maryland, if that public official is a state official, or if they are a state official under the municipality. It depends on which office that you have to file your notice of claim. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. Let me drop some jewels on you tonight. I had to put together a complaint and request for an injunction for a brother up in New York. But this is against a municipality. Let me drop it on you, because this is what Ali's telling me to talk about, and this is something that you probably never heard for the years that people might be coming back and forth over here, and they're not talking about this. I'm gonna pass this around so you can see what it looks like. This is called a notice of claim, right? You have the mic?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I want her to, all right, yeah, I want you, this is the title. This is the claimant, you don't have to read no, I want you to read no address. It says claimant address, nature of claim. Right, yeah. See, this is the title, see?
Oh, just the title?
Yeah, just the title. You don't have to read the content, just the titles.
Okay, it says, to all men known by these to all men known by these presents.
No, at the top you see what?
Late notice of claim.
All right, stop for a second. The reason why this is a late notice of claim is because certain municipalities have a certain amount of time to put the claim in. All right, this is stuff you need to know. Now, because I come here, I deliberately study things for the state of Maryland. Whenever I go do my lecture, usually I go to the law library, pull the information, and have it for y'all. So wherever I'm at, if I could be in Kentucky, Florida, whatever, because our people got to be educated what's going on. State of Maryland, you got 180 days to put your claim in from the date of your entry.
Oh, wow.
You follow what I'm saying? For the state of Maryland. New York, they got 90 days. They're giving you more leniency in this state than they do in New York. All right, so this one is a New York one. So you got to put your claim in for 90 days. But if you don't get your claim in within that statute of limitation, 9 out of 10, you can put in what you call as a late notice of claim all right, you can do that. So that's exactly what that's at the top of that. That's a late notice of claim. That's the first thing. And right after that, sister, you said,
It says to all men known by these persons.
all right, and right under that is the claimant,
The claimant.
address.
In this address, don't read the name?
No.
No?
That's it.
Okay, and then under that is nature of the claim.
The nature of the claim. Listen to me carefully. When they say nature of the claim, they want to know how did the claim arise, which means you got to give them the event of how it arises. Now remember now, what she's reading here, this state here has that also. So all the municipalities kind of have like a template, but you got to follow the instructions of the template within the municipality. All right, like for instance, this is, what county is this?
PG.
Prince George. You see what I'm saying? So each county, they do have their notice of claim, but you gotta follow the preliminary, but it's standard. Even though it's different counties, basically it's standard. All right, it's 180 days to make your claim. All right, if you don't make your claim in 180 days, you have to put down late notice of claim. And then you have to do some research on how you can bring a claim in that was late. Not to say that you cannot bring it in, but you have to know the procedures on bringing it in. All right, and this is what I did for the brother. All right,
Okay.
The next title says.
So then the next title is time and place of event.
Yes, the time and place of the event, right? The next title.
And the next title is time of equitable damage.
That's right, time of equitable damage. When they say time of equitable damage, meaning what was the period of time that the damage took place, right? Because the damage could take place, like, say, a month ago, and say that the damage is still continuing. You have to begin to start to calculate that.
Chew them up.
You see what I'm saying? You have to calculate that. So, because you see that there's figures there. All right, now let me drop some jewels on you. Let me tell you what's going on, because this not only is for New York, but it's all municipalities. But this is the one for New York. But you can't use the same title. All right, because New York's calling it adopting local laws in the state of New York. When they say adopting, they're not talking about adoption like adoption of a child. You know why I'm saying that? I have to be clear and articulate so you know what I'm talking about. If you use this title for Maryland, they're going to talk about children. You follow me? So each municipality has their own way of expressing it. So for the state here, you just chop off adoption, or adopting, and just put down Maryland local laws, and it will come up. Maryland local laws. That's all. Maryland local laws, or the state of Maryland local laws. All right? Because they don't use the word adopting. Because each state varies on how they address their or administer their local laws. So you have to use the title on the local laws that they use. Now, why I'm talking about this is very important. All right? And this all relates to this. This particular brother was in business for over 18 years as a towing company. And where he's doing business at, white supremacy had amended some code, city code, added on new laws to the city code, but the city code, which was supposed to have been sent up to the Secretary of State. Each state, like the state of Maryland, has a Secretary of State. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Say, for instance, you drive down the road and you ran a stop sign, that realize it, and the officer pull up on you and decide to give you a ticket. You can find out if that stop sign was sanctioned by the Secretary of the State for it to be in that municipality, because a lot of these municipalities are setting up these signs and these lights without the permission of the Secretary. Oh, wow. So a lot of people don't know this. And by having this information is so powerful, you can get a lot of these traffic tickets and stuff and parking tickets thrown out. All right. So what I showed is that in this local law in New York, it specifically talks about as an application that you have to file for. They call it local law filing as an application. Each state or each municipality in the state have to do what you call as an application for local law filing. For the state to adopt that as law in the state so the municipality can lawfully say, now the stop sign is law. Now the lights are law. The parking is law. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of us, because we're not aware of these things, we want to get in tickets, we want to get arrested, we get in jail, and we don't know any of this information. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I teach the way I teach. There's nobody out there teach the way I teach. Because again, we live in a cracker society, and they're using these stop signs and these lights, you know, license and registration, because this is what they do. All right, and this is how they raise money for the municipality, which is nothing but a tax anyway, a toll tax. That's what it is. All right, like for instance, let me drop another jewel on you. Going back to what you was asking me earlier. All right, because it depends on the circumstances of what you asked me. So when it comes to government bonds, you don't need the Q-sub number to do this. You can just buy this outright, depending on what you can afford. All right. You will need this with your driver's license, because everybody who has a driver's license have a certain number on the driver's license. If you get the Q-sub number, I can pull the bond on your driver's license, which means you don't need no car insurance because you're already in bond. You're already bonded. You're already insured. Like
Say it again about the driver. If you get the what?
If you have a driver's license, anybody who has a driver's license, and I'm addressing what the brother's saying, because it all depends on the circumstances of when you use a Q-sub number and when you don't have to. So I was explaining that when you're buying government bonds, you don't need the Q-sub number to buy the government bonds. You can just, because they're selling it. So if they're selling it, you don't need it. There's a bond. Your license itself, your driver's license, is a bond. A lot of people don't know that. I did this with my class several years ago down in Harlem, New York, and they got the Q-sub number on their license, and it's traded on Fidelity. Your license is being traded on Fidelity. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars on your license, and they got a lot of nerve to tell you got to get insurance. A lot of people don't know this stuff. All right, because again, you got to think Ali, because I've been coming here for numerous of times. And this is really the first time I'm teaching like this, on this subject matter, all right? Because this stuff I'm talking about is mind blowing. Matter of fact, I'm hitting this stuff so hardcore, they took down one of my videos from last year. Yeah, because they don't want the information to be out there. Because what I'm doing is empowering our people, all right? And the video that they probably took down, I'm gonna see if I can try to get a copy of it and put it back up, all right? Or what I'm gonna have to do is get my own website and take all those videos and put them on my website. So that way people can come to my website and see the videos without me worrying about some attorney telling me to take it down. That's why I don't put myself on YouTube. If you see me on YouTube, all those videos you see of me, somebody else put that up. I've never put any videos up on myself in YouTube. And there's a reason why I don't do that. Because to me, the information I have is not for YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It's for us, not YouTube. You see what I'm saying? So then what that means that any of those lawyers out there that see that I'm a threat or danger to the legal society, they're going to come at me. Now, the brother who I said I found his mortgage bond, he was with me in court one day with a lawyer was telling the judge, Your Honor, Mr. Bey knows etymology, he knows this, he knows that, so on and so on. Yeah, he was telling on me. So they're watching me. They're watching me. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I don't put my stuff up on YouTube. I'd rather have my own personal page, and you can get in only by membership. Only by membership you can get in. You see what I'm saying? And I mean, you know, you're gonna have unlimited access to whatever information I'm gonna put out there. All right, that's what I'm gonna do, because I have to control what's going on, and I don't want nobody to I'll show down. You see what I'm saying? So again, as I was saying, brother, you can get the Q-sub number on your driver's license. That number that you give you on driver's license, you can get the Q-sub number. Once you get the Q-sub number, I can go get the bond.
What if it's suspended or?
You know what I'm saying, brother?
Don't matter.
Listen, thank you for saying that too.
Got you.
Coming, brother. I know folks whose license was suspended. I said, listen, some people playing games. How in the hell your license can be suspended when you got a bond that's on the market making money? That means if you got a bond on your license, that means the license is indemnified. Do you hear me? So how the hell are you going to suspend an indemnified license? You get what I'm saying? If the bond that's connected to your license,
sell this to arbitrate.
It's making money. Yeah, but these folks don't know this stuff, and you know, because they're not taught to learn this stuff. They got their own procedures on how they come at you. So this is specifically for you. That's what I'm saying. This is not no YouTube public information I'm giving you. I'm telling you, them crackers can see me to be dangerous. I'm more dangerous than Farrakhan and Malcolm X and Marcus. I'm more dangerous than all of them dudes. Because I'm talking about effectuating economic and empowering our people economically. Yes, brother, you had a question, and then this brother next.
Hold up.
The mic. Yeah. So you see how the CUSIP comes in?
Yes, I do see how it comes in.
Yes.
Yeah, the driver's license number is actually the CUSIP number.
No, it's not.
So how do you get the CUSIP number from the driver's license?
Well, I'm the contact brother because I have a contact to another guy who has access to a financial terminal. All right? And they try not to make this stuff publicly known because you're not supposed to know this stuff. You see what I'm saying? So I have a contact person. So the CUSIP number, you have the major and the minor. Matter of fact, I took up a course in the CUSIP at 55 Water Street down in Manhattan. I'm the only brother that you're looking at right now that was in the building. All of other gurus talks about that place, like Gene Keaton and so forth. They have never been in the building. I've been in the building on the 43rd floor taking up the course. And who's the sponsor of the CUSIP Global Services is Standard & Poor's and Bank of America and the American Bankers Association. Those two agencies are the ones who finances that. Yes.
So we have to contact you and.
Yeah, you have to contact me, brother.
And how we.
You write my number down.
Okay.
Ready? 347.
Hold up. Let me see that way. Get the number after the class. Cause I don't want everything going here. Just y'all talk to them after this.
All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. So your question, my beloved brother. Your question.
Go ahead.
No, I said what I had to say. I just want to hear your question because I can flow. So your questions is very important to me.
My question, Brother Bey, is this. I understand now. You said that the YouTube, what they got about you.
Yes.
Talk in the mic, bro.
Yes.
What they relayed on the YouTube about you.
Yes.
And your presence in the courtroom and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I understand now because they blocked some of that out.
That's right.
So blocking some of that out was essential to what you wanted to get across as far as the educating of
Our people. That's right. Because this is for you. The ancestors anointed me with this to give this to y'all. Now, for instance, those who got caught before a judge. Yes, my brother? Those who have court before a judge, right? I can show you how to shut the judge down. I can show you how to recuse the judge off the bench without filing a motion for him to recuse himself. That's garbage. What you have to do is you have to do what you call as a declaratory judgment complaint. It's called a declaratory judgment complaint. That's under 28 USC, right? And the section is 2201 to 2202. 2201, section 2201 and 2202.
Yeah, say that again. You said declaratory.
It's called a declaratory judgment under 28 USC, sections 2201 and 2202.
28 USC.
See, section 2201 and 2202. Again, we have technology at your disposal in the palm of your hand. Just look it up. Look these things up, y'all. Don't listen. Listen, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, which means every little grain, look into it like a scientist. You see what I'm saying? No, I'm just saying, we in class right now. Pull it up. Don't be, this ain't homework. This ain't homework. I ain't waiting for you to go home and look this stuff up. Pull it up right now. That's what I'm saying. I want people to hear it. Even those who are out there watching live on Facebook. All right? They need to pull these things up. They need to write this information down and put it up. Because the deal is this. This is why they're taking my stuff down. It's because the judges or the magistrates in these particular municipalities and states are all lawyers. Mm-hmm. And they're not supposed to be sitting on the bench with a law degree or bar card, I should say, to be more specific, paying bar member dues. Because that's a conflict of interest. So, true. No, that's all right, brother. It's all right. So, but my point is, how are you going to get a fair right, an impartial hearing from a so-called judge who's actually a lawyer. All right, they don't want you to know that. So technically, he's really not a judge if he have his bar card. But if he's taking an oath to become a judge, he's supposed to retire his bar card. So you can't have a bar card paying dues to the bar, because then that means you are favoring the bar association. Did you know that's in violation of his oath of office? So this is the stuff they don't want you to know. All right, and that's why they're taking my stuff down. Yes.
And who do you complain to with this matter?
Like when again, it's a declaratory judgment complaint. You're filing that in federal court. You follow me? You follow that? So, and if you have, like, for instance, say for instance you in a foreclosure. Let me drop another jewel on you. Say for instance you in foreclosure. No state judge, I'm gonna say it again. You already know that he's a what? A lawyer. So that's another reason why he shouldn't be over your case if it's a foreclosure case or whatever case it may be. All right? You need to know the basic. The basic would knock him off the bench. And anyone that they try to pass the case on, you keep knocking them off the bench too, until they become stalemate. They're gonna say, we don't know what to do with him. Let it go.
What's the process on that? Just file it in federal court? Go to the clerk's office?
It's more than, all right, I pass something around. I don't know if you see it. Yes. And in front of you, that's federal court, right? That's just a sample of what I did in federal court. That's not for declaratory judgment. That's for an injunction against an unconstitutional statute, because this particular city that we're dealing with have implicated an unconstitutional statute under the state, which is operating under color of state law. All right, so that's a complaint to request for an injunction against that color of law. All right, because the states is subject to the 14th Amendment. So they can't come up with any color of law to subjugate you. All right, that's Jim Crowism. All right, so my point is that we had to put together a complaint requesting an injunction against that municipality, because with that laws that's operating colorable, what's happening is that they tried to put him out of business. They put over 15 or more companies out of business with that same statute. They couldn't afford the $2 million insurance. You follow me what I'm saying? Along with other fees to run the business. But prior to that, those fees never existed. All right, so this is how the city is raising money. All right, by taking monies away from the brothers' businesses and other people's businesses. But nobody's challenging the statute. You see what I'm saying? So I'm challenging the statute. He had a lawyer, but the lawyer never challenged the statute. He's not going to challenge the statute because it's all political. It's all about money. And this is the kind of stuff that I expose. This is what I'm talking about. This is how a Moore is supposed to bang on them. Not make up writs and affidavits and facts and truths. That stuff don't work. I hit these devils where it hurts. Study the laws, study the procedures, the rules, the case law, study all that stuff. And like Noble Juali said, give the European back his what? Christianity. Because all that is Christianity. His white supremacy is his Christianity. Like C.M. Bey said, the white son, idol God. You know what I'm saying? In his church. You know what I'm saying? The white son, idol God. This is what C.M. Bey said. All right? So that's exactly what it is. It's his Christianity, so we got to give it back. You know? If you playing the game of chess, do you make checker moves on the game of chessboard?
Not at all.
Do you get what I'm saying? So you study the system. Come on now, a boxer. What he does, he studies his opponent. You know what I'm saying? So he'll get a feel of his opponent when he get in the ring. He ain't gonna just jump in there and expect he gonna just go for pound. They don't go like that. Especially when you got a man who's well trained and been, you know, in the ring for a while. You know, you just don't jump in there and think it's gonna happen like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that movie, Creed. I don't know if you've seen that movie, Creed. Yeah, you see how he just jumped in that ring and he went up against a professional guy and he laid him right on the floor because he thought he can go pound for pound. Yeah, it was pound for pound, him hitting that ground. That was pound for pound. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, in the light of using that as a metaphor, is the same thing in the courtroom. All right? Study those statutes. Study those laws. They're using it as a weapon of warfare. They study these bonds. Now, so, listen. This is a lecture by itself. This is a lecture by itself. This is a lecture by itself. And this is a lecture by itself. But what I'm trying to do is summarize the stuff by giving you bits and pieces and parts, because it takes a while to know this stuff. There's different levels of bonds. There's various types of bonds. Not every bond is the same. Like, remember I said, every claim is not a lien, but every lien is a claim. Because there's various types of claim. Like, for instance, as the brother was talking about risk management, you put a notice of claim to risk management. You go to the law department, all right? If you've been damaged by one of these public officials, you have to put in what you call as a notice of claim. They do have the template for the state of Maryland. If a police officer, like, for instance, let me give you another jewel. Say, for instance, you're driving around the road, and you got potholes around the state of Maryland, right? In the different counties, right? And say, for instance, your car gets damaged from all these potholes, and then your wheel alignment is out, and then you got to go to auto mechanic or whatever to get your wheel alignment back, maybe change your tire, whatever, because the potholes will turn your car up, right? Now, guess what? If the masses of our people do what I'm about to tell you, you're going to see how things change. Because if they got you down as a goddamn taxpayer paying taxes, but where's the damn money going to? It definitely ain't going to the infrastructure of the road. So if you want to make them people pay for it, and your car get torn up with bumps and bruises because there's potholes, what you do is you get out, take a picture of the pothole, take a picture of the street where it happened in the intersection, and the damage of your car, and plus you take it to the mechanic, you get it fixed, right? And what you do is you take that and you attach that to a notice of claim and serve it on this municipality.
Wow.
Do you hear what I'm saying? This is some serious stuff. Who's teaching this stuff? I've been knowing this for years. Now, I've been coming back and forth to the Everlasting Life, and technically this is really the first time I elaborate on it. But the only reason why I'm talking about it tonight, because of Brother Ali said, brother, I want you to talk about bonds, claims, liens. Okay, I'm going to hit him in the head tonight. Shoot, paramedics going to carry you out here tonight.
So you say
you may even need a defibrillator. Clear. You go flatline.
You say you'll serve that on who?
The municipality, like for instance, the law department. All right? It depends. If it's the state, which is already all state, they have a separation. They have the municipality. So if your car got damaged within the municipality, you go to the law department of the municipality, or some of them call it the city comptroller. You know, they got various names. You have to do the research to find out who you would serve your notice of claim. That's why I wanted to know, brother. You passing this stuff around?
Around here is the comptroller.
The comptroller, exactly. Now, see, and I was just showing you the notice of claim.
Yeah.
All right, and in the very back, in the very back. See, that's the lawsuit. What I did is you attach the lawsuit, the notice of claim to the lawsuit, the federal lawsuit. Why? Because one of the main defenses that these attorneys use in federal court is the 12B6 motion. That's the most famous motion that they use, or statute that they use for the motion is 12B6. What does the 12B6 says? Plaintiff failed to state a claim where relief can be granted. Yeah. What do that mean? I talk to most Moors. What do that mean? Tell me. Because y'all supposed to be on the square. Tell me what that means.
12B6.
12B6.
That means that we didn't complete.
It says plaintiff failed to state a claim where relief could be granted.
That means we didn't complete our administrative process.
Everybody's talking. I can't hear it. Yes.
Explain to him what happened.
No, we didn't complete our administrative remedy.
Thank you, brother.
That's what I mean.
That's because you have to give them notice, because this brother talked about risk management. Every law department, every municipality all have a risk management department, all right, which deals with bonds for your claims. You see what I'm saying? But they can't give you your damages on your, if you don't give them what you call as a notice of claim. That's why I'm passing this around so you can see it. So you can see what I'm talking about. This is stuff, listen, there's nothing on this board that I talk about that I don't do. Because I ain't the pastor in the church. You get what I'm saying? They're preaching and preaching and preaching. Money coming in, but the neighborhood is in poverty. But they ain't doing nothing for the neighborhood. All right? So don't take no picture there, brother.
Okay.
Yeah, please. That's somebody's work. Please, don't, if you want to take down a little information, fine. But that's somebody's work. I just filed that. If you look at the date, look at the stamp date. At the bottom, the stamp.
March 25th.
March 25th. I just filed that. Yes, I just filed that. I ain't playing. I'm sure, you know what I'm saying?
I need to look at an adverse claim.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is go to the municipality here. That's just a sample so you can get an idea. Because sometimes when you have an idea to see things, it helps you along. It's almost like a crutch. You see what I'm saying? you need to see the notice of claim form here. Next time, I didn't have enough time, but what I was trying to do, I was trying to make copies of it and just hand it out, the template, so you can see what it looks like, but it's pretty much similar to that.
Right here, this is like a template right here.
That's my point. But this Prince George County have their own. Each county have their own. That's what I'm trying to say. You're just looking at a sample of what's going on up in New York.
So you have to send them a notice of claim.
You have, because it's going to risk management.
Yeah.
All right. Now let me tell you how it works in New York, and I'm sure that you'll have it the same thing here. I would have to find out what is the Maryland statute, because each state have it under a certain statute. Like in New York, they call that general municipal law, Section 50E. Section 50E deals with notice of claim. Section 50H means a hearing. Once you give them notice of claim, they got to call you in for a hearing.
Right.
All right? But now if you look at the last page, you're going to see that I put down the number of the damages. All right? If you see the last page, I don't know if you've seen the last page, you see some money there. Yes, brother.
So you put it into federal court. Initially, you were saying in one of your videos, you said all the courts are virtually the same.
True.
But then we would have to do all our work in federal opposed to state.
True. Because first of all, Noble, it's too much game playing in the state. Not to say that the federal won't play it, but you got more leverage in the federal. All right? Because all them devils is the same to me, you know. So, you know, the games they play in the state is the same they play in the federal. You just got to know. See, knowing the statutes, knowing the case laws, knowing how to draft up these complaints and the notices of claim, all that is good, but you know what the main key is to this factor? It's strategy. That's why I like to use the game of chess, because you know all the chess pieces on how to move.
Yeah.
But what's going to help you win the game is strategy. So, like in court, you may know how to file a motion. You may know how to file an affidavit. You may know how to do an interrogatory. You may know how to do all that. But then, how are you going to be strategic with it?
Yes,
that's the key.
There's no question I got.
Yes.
So if let's say we had the Title 28 right here. Let's say we had Title 28 455 that I learned from you.
Yes.
In line section 4.
Yeah. Tell them what that is, so they know what it is.
That's when a judge has fiduciary or pecuniary.
Yes. Under section 4.
Under section 4.
Yes.
For
let me explain to you real quick. Thank you, brother. Real quick. Hold your thought. 28 U.S.C. section 455. Section 4. Section 4. The judge is not supposed to have a pecuniary interest. You say, well, wow, what can I find or look up to find if the judge has pecuniary interest so I can knock him off the bench? You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. So you say, oh, bingo, lottery, jackpot. The judge is a lawyer.
That's right.
So by the fact that you can take the judge's name, go to the state bar website,
that's right,
put it in there, and his name is going to come up as a lawyer.
I did it.
So when you do that, you want to get a copy of that and use that against him. Why? Because then you get his oath of office. His oath of office falls up under that. So how do you take an oath of office to be a judge and you still practicing as an attorney on the bench? You practicing law on the bench. He'd be the first one to say, you practicing law in my courtroom, sir? Sir, I object. You are practicing law on the bench because you still got your bar card and you are an attorney, sir, and you paying dues. So you in violation of 28 U.S.C. section 455, section 4. You have a pecuniary interest. You see what I'm saying? That's one way to show it. I know other ways to show it. Yes, brother.
Is it necessary that you send that information say if you find the judge's name on the
you want to use the information, Noble.
Can you send it?
Listen to me carefully. I'm giving you the information. I'm hearing what you're saying, and you're going in a direction that I don't want you to go in. Okay. You get the information and you put it into a declaratory judgment complaint. The purpose of a declaratory judgment complaint is to declare the rights of the party. All right? So if the judge is operating with partiality towards you, you're going to show the partiality. Thank you. You're seeing all this, right, y'all? Thank you. Thank you. You're going to show the partiality that the judge has. That's all I'm trying to show you. But you put that in the declaratory complaint.
And I put that into federal court.
Yes, you want to follow in the. Well, you ain't gonna take
Yeah, I got you.
the baby to mama, if you get what I'm saying. You ain't gonna take the baby to mama. You don't want to complain about to the mama about what the baby doing. You know? Yes.
Is that an ace that you could hold and
Well, that's-
insert
of
at
course
any
it's an
time
ace.
when the arbitrator starts running his mouth?
Yes, you can file it any time. You
Very
can knock
good.
him off the bench.
Very good.
That's
Very
right. It works every time. It never fail. Like the Christians say about Jesus, he never failed.
Okay, so he could start his little chaos, little.
It don't make a difference what he say.
Okay.
I'm just saying he doesn't have standing. No judge or arbitrator, because usually the arbitrators are lawyers who are appointed. All right. Matter of fact, you don't want stay away from arbitrators.
Okay.
That's another factor. Stay away from them because you don't have that much leverage with an arbitrator. Not to say that you can knock them off the bench too, but you can tell an arbitrator you prefer to have a judge than an arbitrator. All right. You can demand a judge for an arbitrator. Because normally what they would say to you that if the arbitrator makes a decision, it's unappealable. That's what they say. That's not true. Because up in New York, if an arbitrator makes a ruling, you can do an Article 78 proceeding against the arbitrator's ruling. But they don't tell you that. Some things they don't tell you, brother. So that's why I said you only good as your research. As you were, brother. More questions?
Is there any timeline to do that? So say if it's
No,
like
brother.
a month or so?
No, brother. Say for instance, I give you an example. I'm gonna give you an example. Suppose a foreclosure hits you. It said you at the end of the foreclosure judgment and sale. You can hit it at that time. You can hit it at the beginning of the foreclosure, or you can do it at the end of the foreclosure. They can have you in the housing court to try to get it, and you can do it at that time. All right? It's all strategies. Because when people call me up based upon the case, usually I have to tell people, I have to make an assessment of where you at in the case. Because people will call me and say, brother, this and this and that and this and that. And I can hear all that, but that ain't helping me. That ain't helping me to help you if you tell me all that. I need to know where you at with the case in the courtroom. I want to see what them crackers is saying. I hear what you're saying, but if I hear what them devils are saying, then I know what to do. As soon as I know where you at in the case, I know exactly what to do. But this is what I want to drop on you too, brother, that you need to know these truths. And that's why they see me very dangerous, because he's like who's this man coming on live, dropping all this information to interrupt our legal industry? That's right, because you doing our people dirty, you know, with your Jim Crowism. I know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? I love Malcolm and Elijah. No Mutual Ali, Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? I love our Hebrew Israelite brothers. You know what I'm saying? I learned from every single last one. I got nothing to say bad about our people. That's why it bothers me when I see our people on Sarnetta banging on each other.
Yeah.
I said, wait a minute, I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
The days when I was growing up with Dr. Ben 30 years ago, John Henry Clark, and Leonard Jeffries and James Smoke, they was banging on cracker. Now you got Sarnetta TV having the brothers banging on each other. The Moors banging on the Hebrew Israelites, Hebrew Israelites banging on the Moors, and the Kemetic brothers is banging on this one. Where the hell that came from? He's like the Don King of that stupidness.
I think that kind of came from the music. Because once the music started going to self-hate, where
well, that's what it is. To me, Sarnetta's TV to me is self-hate, because I hate to see our brothers and sisters banging on each other. I hate that. All right, you ain't gonna never hear me speak about my brother or sister. I don't care what faith and what politics they into. All right, you know, I'm not doing it.
But sometimes we still gotta remember when they bring that, because they're still bringing it. But I think that when they bring that negativity, we have to take 2 steps back and bond, kind of ground ourselves and know who we are and not feed into it.
Yeah.
Because it has to stop somewhere.
Yeah. You know.
So like if they're
so now
not,
you know what the new organization is now, right? You heard about the ADOS, right?
Yeah.
I got you. The ADOS, right?
Yeah.
And so Omar Johnson said, I agree with it, but I don't support it. What are you talking about?
Does he support nationality anyway?
You see what I'm saying? I don't get what you're talking about. Matter of fact, Pan-Africanism is nationality. You see what I'm saying? But he's not telling them to declare yourself as an African, though. You have never heard Omar Johnson ever tell, as he says, he being the prince of Pan-Africanism. You never hear him say, for our people to declare themselves as Africans. Have anybody ever heard that? And I've been listening to that brother for years. He talks about it, right? Talks about God, he talks about Frederick Douglass, but I've never heard him state we need to declare ourselves as an African. Just like you said, we declare ourselves as Moors. I've never heard him say we're going to declare ourselves as African. He just said, oh, I am an African. Yeah, brother, I hear you. But where's the declaration of that? All right? I never heard Dr. Ben do that. As excellent as this scholar is, and he's an ancestor, I got much love, respect for Dr. Ben, because he woke up a lot of us, but I've never seen Dr. Ben say we're going to declare ourselves to come into this, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to nationalize. We have to come together. Like the children of Israel. We have to come together. You see what I'm saying? Yes, brother.
No, I was listening to what you were saying, and when you said that, it made me think, because my wife, she never says that she's African. She always says she's Nigerian. She never says she's African. And
I'm aware of that.
And everybody that I know or met in her family,
the Africans don't say they're African.
Don't say they're African.
Listen, I eat African food. I've been around a lot of Africans, and most of the time they'll say they're from Ghana, from Nigeria. So what you're saying, you're right, brother. But let me tell you something too that you need to correct your wife on. Technically, she's really not Nigerian.
Exactly.
She comes from one of the kingdoms in a territory called Nigeria, because Nigeria, that was under the British.
Thank you.
That's a colonization term under the British, and it even go back to the Catholic. You see what I'm saying? Because remember, those places was not divided up geographically. There's no such thing a place as Nigeria. People was known by kingdoms. So she might have been from like the Igbo kingdom, or she may be from the Yoruba kingdom.
Wow.
So you got about.
She do say that. I mean, she does. I'm just clarifying.
I got you.
She does know that she's from.
Well, I know she knows that, but most of the time they say, "Oh, I'm from Nigeria." But
exactly.
But listen, but I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying she's wrong. I respect it from the same way we say that we are Moors, or we say that we Israelites. I'm gonna tell you why. Because when they say that she's Nigerian, even though we know that's a colonial issue, what they're doing is they're unifying up under one national name. Because what happens is this, that Africa is so divided up among each other. Like for instance, let me use Nigeria since you use that as a good example. The Fulanis and the Hausas are dogging the other Nigerians in Nigeria. They're the ones who control the politics.
Yep.
They're like the Democrats and the Republicans in Nigeria.
Yep.
I already know what's going on, brother. I study all that stuff. So the Fulanis are the most dominant in the Nigerian government. They're the ones who want Nigeria to become Islamic or Muslim. You see what I'm saying? Along with the Hausa. You see what I'm saying? But then you got the Yoruba. They're not Muslims. So now you see what the Boko Haram is all about. Because they're trying to turn Nigeria into an Islamic state. But when you got 1,000 other kingdoms within inside of Nigeria, that's going to be impossible. Because each one represents their own district, their own territory. And so you can't really infringe on them. You see what I'm saying? Right. So I study all that, brother. So you know what I'm saying? So I know what time it is with that. You know? And then I have I should have brought it with me. Next time I come, I bring it. Next 2 Tuesdays I come. I have a Yoruba Bible. Right? Now the Yoruba Bible, they use King James for the translation. But even though they use King James for the translation, they using Yoruba deities. I study Yoruba. So I said, yo, this is crazy. This is how they trapping our people up. Like they say trap music. How they say trap music and rap. I said, yo, these crackers are slick. They using your own language against you for the King James language. That's why I even get on some of these Hebrew Israelite brothers, especially down in Harlem. Like, listen, you can't use King James Version. There's a Hebrew Israelite out in Queens somewhere near Long Island. They actually had the entire Bible in Hebrew. So they don't even deal with the King James crap. Because that's English. You can't use English vernacular for Hebrew. Hebrew is an ancient language. There's nothing in English that can talk about anything that's in Hebrew. You got to have the vernacular and prepositions of Hebrew. So when I heard a dialogue between Zion Lex and Ali Muhammad, I had to disagree with Zion Lex. He sounded like he's a master in Hebrew, but he used English prepositions to tell Ali Muhammad that he was wrong under chapter 1, verse 5 and 6 of the Songs of Solomon. Because verse 5 talks about I'm black but comely. Well, first of all, there's no such word as black in Hebrew.
Exactly.
So that's why I disagree with Zion Lex. He's sounding like he's an expert. If you just listen to him, you'd be like, damn, that brother bad. But if you don't know etymology like me, and I don't even need to know the Hebrew like he does, but I studied the Hebrew through etymology. He's studying the Hebrew through them damn crackers. You can't use English vernacular for Hebrew. You can't do that. When it says, I am black, there's no such word in Hebrew called black. You have to use the Hebrew word, not the English word. The Hebrew word have a different vernacular and a different spirituality and frequency and energy. That's like your mother calling your name. Huh? If your mother call your name, is you going to respond?
Yes.
Because you know your mother's voice. You see what I'm saying? So if you're talking about Hebrew and ancient, they're going to relate to the vernacular of that time period. You can't go thousands of years later and say, this is Hebrew. You can't use the English vernacular for Hebrew. That is incorrect. That's why I disagree with Zion Lex. I don't have nothing against the brother. I'm just into linguistics. I'm heavy into linguistics. So I can tell if a brother in Spanish or Arabic or whatever, what they're using is correct or not. You can't use English vernacular as a substitute, as a translation for Hebrew, Arabic, whatever. You can't do that. But that's what we're doing today. So then what happens is it looks like English is dominant. But it's not dominant. You know, good example. Isa or Yeshua or Yahushua say it's easy for a rich man to go, it's easier for a camel to go through a needle than a rich man to go to heaven. Most people would think, when you're talking about eye of a needle, in today's vernacular, sewing needle. But in the ancient Hebrew, it's talking about a doorway. So you see the difference between the two? That's why I disagree with Zion Lex. He sounds awesome, which is good. I'm glad he's in his studies. But the biggest mistake that Zion Lex makes, and a lot of other Hebrew Israelites when it comes to the Hebrew, is they're using the English vernacular. You can't do that. Teach the Hebrew so that people will know Hebrew. And then they can kill the English language. Why are you going to use the devil's language for something godly? I don't get that. And guess what? And when I say it like that, they can't bang on what I'm saying. Because they know I'm telling the truth. You know, I'm not trying to expose them or put them down, but because I'm into this, I can't agree with what they say. Because I'm too heavy into this. You know? And I don't even speak and read right Hebrew like they do. But I know it better than they do. Because I'm going back to the ancient. All right? And I can tell you if that's right or wrong or not. That's all I got to do is do the etymology. You know, do the research. All right? That Strong's Concordance, garbage. Throw that in the garbage. Because a lot of that stuff is wrong. You know? And then they try to put an English vernacular onto the Hebrew, you know, because they want you to have that view. But listen, we'll be back next 2 Tuesdays.
Yeah, next 2 Tuesdays. Let's give it up for the brother. Thank you, my brother. Love it, thank you. So 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And we're going to pick up where we left off because I want to be able to come back and expound on claims